Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? It's 4 o'clock, another Sunday. Thurston O'Neill here with the Brothers Like Us show on Living Out Loud Radio TV. So happy to be with you guys once again. Hope everyone is doing well. Just wanted to jump in here. Hopefully, have a wonderful, wonderful show today. Have some of the brothers join me just so we can kick it and see what's on their minds, what's going on with everybody. Um, I don't think we'll be on long today. I actually do not have anywhere to go, but um, it's been a busy week. I do have some work to do to prepare for next week. So I just wanted to check in with everybody and see how everybody's doing. Hopefully, everything is up and running. Actually, while I'm sitting here waiting for the guys, I'm going to check online because I know last week there was an issue, like it didn't show up on my regular page. I see it showing up on the LOL Radio TV page here on Facebook. It should be on our YouTube page as well. But let me check my regular page for whatever reason. And again, it's not showing up. So let me see if I could work on that real quick while I wait for the guys. But again, so glad that you guys are able to join us and just see what we're talking about, see what the brothers are doing, how everybody's feeling. I know that Pastor Darren is coming really, really close to being done with his degree. We're excited about that. Very excited about that. Super excited for him. Again, wishing that we could be in the house when he walks across that stage, but we're going to see what we can come up with. And other than that, man, the week has been busy. We've been good. You guys hold on for 1 second for me while I work this stuff out. And when you get a chance, come on in, leave your comments, let us know what's going on with you guys, what you guys like to talk about. A lot of stuff in the news, of course, the school shooting, the craziness around that shooting, as well as consequences that follow. I think now this is my first time hearing parents being at least partially held responsible for what their child did in school. And when you read the story and hear about all of the stuff that's surrounding the story, it makes sense to me from what I've read. It makes sense to me that the parents would have some liability in this, and they would have to answer to this as well. But we'll see how it all pans out when it's all done. And I'm also very conscious of when these things start to happen. It may be, we may look at it and say, yeah, this is a good consequence for this situation. But how does it look further down the line? Could these laws and these legislations be expanded to sort of target our community as well later down the line? I mean, it sounds good now, and I think we're all in agreement that something should be done. But what does that mean later on? If your child does something, what type of liability do you face when they commit some type of crime, if they were to commit some type of crime? So, again, I appreciate you guys joining us, and I'm hoping everything is up and running. Actually, let me check the other pages also. I see somebody's joined in. And so I'm really interested on your thoughts around that with the school shooting and the parents being arrested and facing charges as well. What do you think about it? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a far-reaching or overstep by law enforcement and the legal system? How do you feel this impacts us going forward? Not just for this case, but thinking years down the line, if this is something that is sort of put in place, how does it affect us? Hello, Louisa. How are you? How are you? Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. We are back again. It wasn't 2 weeks in a row, just 1 week. Last week I had a memorial service to attend so was not able to be online and have the show. But I'm very, very glad to be back today. Louisa, thank you for joining us. And Yeah, I'm interested in you guys' thoughts around that, around the school shooting and the parents being arrested, and also anything else that you guys may want to discuss this week. I know there's been a lot going on, but I've really been rather busy. Thank you, Louisa. Thank you very, very much um, for your condolences. I really do appreciate it. But I've sort of had my nose to the grind, and it's funny because I'll be I'll be all around, doing my work and everything during the week, and Erica will bring something up to me like, "Oh, did you hear blah blah blah?" I was like, "No, I didn't hear anything about it." She's like, "It's all over the internet. How could you not have heard about it?" When I'm focused, I'm focused. I'm just, in my own world, and a lot of this stuff gets past me. So I must say that some stuff I've missed, but we are back. Randy, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. It's good to see you, man.
Mm-hmm.
You guys all set for the holidays, bro?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I got some kind of echo, man.
All right. Work it out on your end. It sounds good over here. On my side, it's on my end. It sounds good.
All right, you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you good. I can hear you good. So, Louisa, let me see. Where were the guns in the house that the boy was able to get? Louisa, they bought the gun for him. They bought it as a. I guess he's 15 years old. So they bought it as a birthday, an early birthday or early Christmas present for him, and gave it to him. I think there's a lot of circumstances surrounding the shooting that, for me, it makes sense that the parents would have some type of they would have to answer in some way. Randy, have you kept up on the story? Have you heard about the school shooting thing?
Yeah. I heard about it. I heard about the parents try to get away.
Yep. Uh-huh.
They
Right.
tracked him down. Good afternoon, Louisa. And yeah. So, but as far as keeping up with it, I really don't keep up with the news like that too much.
Right.
I
Right.
hear something. And I'm like, yeah, okay, not just about it, man. But I don't really indulge and dive into the
Right.
story and stuff like that. I mean, man, so much is going on in the world today, man. Every time you turn around, there's something happen, man, that you go insane, just basically trying to keep up
Right.
with it.
Right. Exactly.
And so, my wife and I, we just basically just been talking about just enjoying life, trying to enjoy life to the fullness, man, as
Yeah.
much as we
Yeah.
possibly can, because things are constantly happening, and if you get caught up in it, you'll be worried about it here
Right.
and there. So I'm just looking just to really, you know, it's another sad situation,
Right.
stuff like that. And you could talk about this stuff until you become blue in the face about
Because there's
it.
always something new, right? There's
Yeah,
always
because
something new.
you got to constantly talk about you know, uh, they always talk about stiffer gun laws and stiffer this, and we got to track down this, and you keep hearing the same old thing,
Right.
and and,
And
and
nothing changes.
it doesn't seem like anybody doing anything,
Uh-huh.
So like I said, it's a sad situation. I mean, I do notice that parents are to be held responsible for some things. It's no different if you have a party at your house with a bunch of young people that's underage,
Yep.
and you serving alcohol and allowing them to have alcohol, and somebody go out there and get in the car and kill somebody, you become responsible.
Oh, you're liable. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying. So
Yep.
they
Yeah.
got to do. It is what it is, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And Louisa, I see. Yeah, they did look guilty by running. Um, And so this is the thing, Louisa, and this is what always comes up. Apparently, the boy had mental issues or something going on, and I think that's what. And this is what you're gonna get from the black and brown community. When it's a white person that does it, they say there's some type of mental issues. When a black or brown person does something like that or something illegal, it is just a crime and they're thugs and so forth. And that is not to say that there were not mental issues, mental health issues, but the reality is when you look at this whole situation now, apparently the parents had been called into the school. The first time they were called, apparently they did not respond, and there was the boy got caught by a teacher or administrator or something looking on his phone for ammunition, and the parents were called to come to the school, but they didn't respond. And apparently the mom sent a text to the son like, "We're not mad at you. You just gotta learn how not to get caught," or something like that. Eventually, they did come to the school, met with the school. The boy, I guess, was apparently sent back to class or something. And a couple hours later, he shot up the school with this gun that his parents purchased for him. And now, so this again, and this is the thing, Randy. This is what what you were just talking about. Stories like this come out all the time, and we get little blurbs. So I will be 100% transparent. I haven't read the whole transcript of what exactly happened. I've seen some of what the police have reported and what the school has reported, and it sounds really bad. It sounds really bad that the parents did not respond, and the way they responded to him. So, but what does that mean going forward for everyone?
What's crazy about it is that me as a parent, you as a parent, no matter what your kid done, you ain't gonna jump in the car and take off and leave them.
Right? Absolutely. No.
That's that. I'm like, they just like left their child. They figure like, listen, he's in trouble. We got to get out of here.
Right.
Right. I mean, regardless of the case, yeah, you might get in trouble, but you ain't gonna leave your girls. You ain't gonna leave your children.
We just all gonna be in trouble, bro.
We all gonna be in trouble. I'll do my best. Listen, if as a parent, put it on me, whatever the case might be.
Right.
But that to me was the funny part. I'm sorry to say funny.
Right.
But they just like, man, let's get out of here, man.
They were out, bro.
He's for himself. He got to fend for himself.
Exactly.
And they just took off.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, man. That story blew my mind. And this is the thing, man, because these things happen so often now. I think we're becoming numb to the fact that families have lost loved ones, bro, like in the blink of an eye. Like when they sent their child to school that morning, there's no way they were thinking that is the last time I'm going to see my child. That's the last time I'm going to see them. I'm not going to be able to hug them anymore because of some random craziness that someone has in their mind and their access to guns. And this, listen, it's like you said earlier, we talk about this all the time. We need gun control. We need gun laws. We need things in place to keep us safe, but nothing changes. And it's not even a Democrat Republican thing at this point, because the bottom line is it doesn't matter who's in power. It doesn't matter if they have the president and both houses in favor of their party. Like if the Democrats have the White House and both houses, to me it makes sense that they should be able to pass laws to get things under control. But it doesn't happen. It does not happen. So it doesn't even matter who, Republican or Democrats, who's in place. The gun lobby is powerful, and it seems like they cannot be there. It's like we can't bring the change that's needed regarding guns and safety.
Well, did you see? Did you see the I think it was the Republican. He was a
Uh-huh.
Republican. His Christmas card with his family, they was all holding these big gigantic guns.
I didn't see it, man. Lord have mercy.
I
Are
mean,
you serious?
and this happened right after the shooting.
Wow.
So he was a Republican.
Wow.
They all in their Christmas garb, and they all holding like these big gigantic. He got like some people got shorter guns and
Uh-huh.
tins and this and that, and they all sitting up there smiling, holding these big guns.
Wow. Wow. And this is hello, Pastor Pat. How are you? It's good to see you. Yes, I'm thankful for the blood as well. His protection, absolutely. And so this is where it gets tricky though. Because if the laws are not going to change, wouldn't it be wise of us to arm ourselves? Like, how do you feel? How do you feel about that? Do you think that you need to arm yourself to keep you and your family safe?
I mean, to the point, it's like you really start thinking about it,
Right.
and the reason why you start thinking about it because you see now all the break-ins that's going on,
Uh-huh.
and you see like where they just rush into a store
Right.
and they just start smashing and they just looting and they just take stuff and they just leave.
Right.
So I can see they start want to give people license to carry guns
Uh-huh.
because you almost being it's like it's like you being forced to
Right.
has to in order to protect yourself.
Right.
Because anybody could come by and say, "Listen, I'm going to go in there and just try to break in or do whatever the case be might, by whatever they want." And honestly, man, I'm just sitting. I don't know if it was yesterday or the other day, but I would just begin to think about all the stuff and just begin to just to like ask God. I mean, like, what could we do?
Right.
Honestly, I mean, like, what can we do? I understand pray. I understand
Right.
all of that.
Right. Uh-huh.
But you come to learn that look, this is the world that we in, and like Pastor Patricia said, you just gotta like just continue, just thank God for His protection, His angels' protection, the covering of His blood, and go on enjoy life because you
Yeah.
don't know what tomorrow holds. That's
You
why
don't
you
know.
learn to enjoy your family. You try to keep in touch with people. You try to love on folks because you just don't know what's around the corner.
Right.
And you do your best to try to protect yourself, to keep yourself safe, the loved ones safe. When they get home at night, you pray and thank God that everybody's home and stuff like that. Because this is the world that we live in.
Right.
And I just think that it's getting worse. And it's almost getting to the place like in the book of Judges where it talks about, you know, because they had no law, everybody just did whatever they wanted to do.
Right. Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
so it becoming to that point, like, look, you go out, you meet somebody say something to you, you get into an argument, and next thing you know, they pulling out a weapon on you.
Right.
You,
Right.
so sometimes you just learn to just get in your car, drive. If they want to shoot past you, just let them go.
Yeah. And so it's so crazy that this is the world that we live in. And listen, I know the Bible talks of, all the things that's to come, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it happen in front of us. Um, and I feel the same way, Randy. I want to not only do I want to enjoy life, but I want to be able to live life with a positive attitude, not looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes, not wondering um, what this person is doing or what this person is saying. I want to be able to do it. The world that we live in makes it very, very difficult, especially as Black men, um, keeping ourselves safe. And then, you know, does does living a peaceful life mean that we sort of shut ourselves down and not be aware of all the stuff that's going on? You know, I mean, I think we have to be aware. And past Fat, I'm looking at your comment. They thwarted the event. So I didn't hear about the event in Florida that was thwarted. Apparently, they stopped a shooting. And you said your grandson goes to that school. Lord have mercy. Um, that could have been tragic. And you know how you guys dealt with that and how you even feel about that. You're right. If you see something, so I'm interested. I actually want to hear about that story. I'm going to look it up on here. Um, and you're right. So this is a comment I heard the other day. Like you said, we're able to bear arms. I need to. I believe we need to be wise and educate ourselves. Do things lawfully, and this is the key, because someone said yes, we need to be armed, but we also need to know the laws in our state, because the law in Virginia is not the same law in New York, and the law in New York is not the same as the law in California, and so forth. So we all can't just get a gun and figure, okay, that's it. We have to be aware of what our laws are. So, you know, we were all upset when Trayvon was shot. They used that stand your ground law to let homeboy off. That was the law of the state. He hired attorneys. They used it, and he got off. And I know the first thing that comes to mind, and this is our reality, is if these were Black men that did the same things, it would not even be a question that they would be locked up. I mean, that's just the reality that we live with. The law does not work the same for us. Be it, even if it's just simply, if we can't afford the caliber of attorney to make sure that all of those different laws are examined and looked at and presented to the judge and the jury in the right way. Whatever the reason, the law does not work the same for us. And it goes even beyond just the prejudice and the racism. The reality is there are a lot of different factors that does not allow us to get the same type of results. Um, Pat, what part of um, Florida was that in? What part of Florida was that in? You said the young man was chatting on social media. Did they find weapons and such? I'm looking it up right now, actually, as we talk. Did you hear anything about this, Randy?
Uh-uh.
And it's crazy that you have family that past the fact that you have family there. Hold on one second. Wow, he bought a gun and ammo. Let me show it on screen. He bought a gun and ammo, said he was going to shoot up the school, and they arrested him. Oh, in Daytona, Florida. This is really, and this is the crazy thing, is that there are a lot of copycats out there. So, wow, your second grandson. So we hear these stories, and it sort of plants these thoughts and stuff in people's minds. People that may be overlooked, that may be going through, that may be depressed. Of course, I think there's always going to be some mental health issues if a person plans on shooting up a school. Yes, there's clearly some mental health issues, but
it's not always mental health.
okay.
A lot has to do with people being bullied.
Right.
And that doesn't always cause to mental health. It's just that people are just getting tired. And they just had a matter of fact, I forgot where it was. I want to say Texas, but they had just passed a law that if you are caught bullying, you get jail time.
I heard something about that. Okay.
Something like up to 2 years of jail time or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, because they said it because bullying is, it's real.
Absolutely.
It's damaging to people, and a lot of this stuff happens because people get bullied. I think I was telling you guys, this young man that used to live across the street from us when we lived in Queens. He was about my son age, daughter age, and about 12 years old or something like that. And he was being bullied every day.
Wow.
And so they found him in his room hanging. He hung himself.
Killed himself.
And his father had no idea. And his father found out later on from another kid that was going to school with him. They was going to school together, and they told him that he was being beat up. They would rob him. They would take his clothes from him, stuff like that. And this was type of stuff. And he kept telling his father that he wanted to move to Florida, right? So the father brought a house in Florida and was going to surprise him on Christmas Day.
Wow.
And just before Christmas, he hung himself.
Lord have mercy.
Because
he was being bullied.
And so a lot of times these kids, this is their way of handling things, and I'm not saying that is right, but this is the way that they handle things because you never know what's going on. But it also, us as parents, you have to be in tune with what your kids are doing.
Yes.
Yes. I never was one that when my kids was young, believing that, they have, what they call it,
privacy.
The privacy.
Yeah, their personal space.
They want to give these kids all this. Oh, you want to give them all this privacy, or you got privacy. You come on, man. They in my house.
Wow.
I have a right to know what they're doing behind closed doors.
Wow.
And they got big old signs, keep out. Putting locks on the door. In my house.
Right.
No, you got to be in tune with what's going on with your kids.
Yep.
You need to know their friends, who their friends are.
Yep.
See, so they want to just give them all this freedom. And next thing you know, when you start seeing all this stuff, they reading all this dark stuff. They dress in a certain way. You go in their room and you seeing all types of pictures and stuff on the wall. You have to pay attention to what's going on.
Yep.
To know what's happening. Keep an eye out what's happening. Go in the room every now and then when they're not home and check everything. All on the nicks.
Yep.
You can't just give them all this freedom because you don't know. They in the garage and they building stuff,
and you have no idea.
You go in your garage.
Right.
So it's like these kids take over the home, and we just don't have no clue, and so it's like, this is their interest. So I'm just encouraging their interest. And then you go and then you buy them this chemistry set, and this chemistry set helps them build bombs.
Right.
And you have no clue. And I'm sorry. It's normally what happens when you see stuff like this. Look, I understand within the Black and brown community, we have a lot of violence and we shoot up and we go and do all this kind of stuff. But I don't see too much of us going inside schools and blowing up the school and shooting up the school and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, if we got a beef, it's going to be between me and you and stuff like that. And we're going to go and do what we got to do. It's crazy. But it's not like we're going to go inside a movie theater and just randomly start shooting everybody, go into a high school and start shooting everybody and all this kind of stuff. No. And you tell me as a parent, you have no clue. that this was going on in your house and this is what your kid has and he had all this stuff. It's like that television series that they had that was talking about suicide. I don't know if you ever remember seeing a movie, but it was a big, like a 4 season,
Okay.
and it was talking about suicide. And this one kid was being bullied all the time. They really did a number on him, but he had a locker full of guns.
Wow.
And so what he did, he decided to dress up, and it was at the school prom. He dressed up, all his black, had all his weapons, and he was going in there to take out everybody in the school prom. And it would just so happen that some of the friends stopped him and was able to talk him down. But this was because of the bullying.
Wow. So it's funny. So Pat, I'm following your comments. I want to make sure that we don't miss anything, because this is very interesting, and it all goes together, man. When you talk about paying attention to our kids. So, Erica and I, we have constant conversations with our girls. And this is not to say, because even as a thoughtful and engaged parent, you can miss some things, right? But it's less likely that you're going to miss something big like that when you are fully engaged. And even in the way that you engaging in a way where you are not, when your child feels that they can tell you and say anything to you, and know that you're going to listen to them, right? So if you're a parent that's sort of really overbearing, a parent that is very judgmental, your children will hold stuff back from you. If you're open, and even when you express your frustration, or you're angry or upset with them about something that they did, still allowing them to know that regardless of what they do, you're still going to love them. They still have a place in your home and in this family, but you can still express your discontent with them, right? I think we have built that, but I'm also very conscious that even in doing that, stuff can still be missed. Pat, I'm reading your comment now. Two students saw what the child wrote on Snapchat. They reported it to security. They went right away and arrested him, finding a collapse. And this is the thing: a collapsible shotgun and ammunition in his backpack. Where did he get that from? Is it something that was just in the home? I do coalition work, and we talk about locking up drugs and locking up alcohol to keep kids out of it. There's supposed to be gun lockers, right? If you have guns in your home, depending on your location, where you live in the country, that's common sense stuff.
But you know what, you
should not have access to a collapsible shotgun.
But you have when you talk about certain age, it's like you're talking about high school. Let's say junior high school. They get keys. They know where the key is at. They watch the combination. They get all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But you have to still know that you have this stuff in the house and constantly keep track of it. Now, right. So I know this young girl who was a mother, and her daughter, they was all at the pool. So the daughter tells the mother, said, listen, I was talking to this boy. And so the mother asked her, how old was he? So she says, I think he was 22. Huh. She might have been like 14. So the mother goes off on her. Right? So I said, listen, I understand you're mad. I understand that you upset by her, and you might have a right. I said, but you got to understand how you handle it.
Right, Randy.
Because the first thing you got to be thankful for that she told you.
Right. Exactly.
She didn't have to tell you.
She could have kept
And
it
if
secret
you're gonna go off on her like that, then she might not tell you the next time
next time.
something happened. So, I don't care if you have to go inside a room. I don't care if you have to go inside a room and punch the wall, punch the pillow, but the way that you come back to talk to her, you have to let her know that, listen, this is not acceptable. This is not this. You have
Right.
to talk to them because you want to build that confidence and you want to build that type of relationship
Right.
that they have where they feel that, listen, my parents are cool enough that I can tell them anything.
Right.
And they're not just going to come down on me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. They're going to tell me that you were wrong. But if but it's the way. But if I come at them and I'm screaming and hollering and then they're gonna say, you know what, bump that. I ain't
Yeah, I'm
telling
not
you
even
next
gonna say
next
right.
time.
Exactly. I'm not gonna say it anymore.
Right. And then that's where you get in trouble. So it's about how you handle the situation with your kids as far as letting them know. And I just feel that a lot of time when you see stuff like this, you just can't tell me stuff gets by. Because
Right.
I'm always preaching and teaching the scriptures that says warning comes before destruction.
Yes.
And there's always, and I believe that with everything. And that's why as a parent, you have to learn to be, just like Patricia said, be vigilant as a parent.
Yep.
You have to constantly stay on top, ask them how their day was.
Yep.
If they want to shy away, it was okay, stuff like that. You want to know. I'm telling you, sometimes, man, listen, they have the thing where you go in and you do the sweep in the rooms.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
they go in and they looking for contraband, all this kind of stuff. You checking the book bag and
Yep.
all this kind of stuff. So you have to know,
Yep.
and I mean, I'm even going on the down low, on the sneak, constantly praying over them. I mean, even while they sleep, when they're away at home, you pray and anointing their bed.
Yep.
you
Yep.
know,
Absolutely.
I'm being real for it because we know that prayer works. We know the situations have worked, but it's important that you stay in tune with your parents. And I just think that a lot of time when this stuff type happens, and you see this stuff happens, you know, especially the type of household. Now, if you got a household, live in a house where they believe in carrying guns and you got them all over the place and stuff like that, and when this stuff happens, and then you got parents that talk about it. Oh man, I just go ahead and blow them away. I just go do this, do
Yep.
that. You should shoot, and then this goes to be planted, that seed, and then they act on it.
Right. Right.
So, so,
Exactly.
so, so that's the key.
So you're absolutely right, and I love how um, Pastor Patricia is responding. Parents learn things, but still need to help the child through the situation with wisdom. So, um, I mean, you've seen how I interact with my girls. We have a very open relationship. So with Erica, Erica will tend to ask them, how was your day? And the general response, and this happens in every household, the general response was, it was good or it was okay. And so, but Erica digs a little deep. Okay, what was good about it? Right? You have to explain to me what it's so it's not just a flippant, oh, it's okay, because that's when that can be a cover for there was a little bit of turmoil in school today, but whatever, I don't feel like discussing it, so I'll just say, oh, it was okay, it was good, and keep it moving. But no, she's always like, okay, no, explain a little more. What was good about it, what was bad about it, what happened, what type of interactions did you have, how was classes, how was track, is everybody getting along, and all of this. She'll ask those extra questions. It may be annoying to that child in the moment, but when something really happens and it comes up, they know that they can come to you because you are listening. You're concerned. You're concerned about their well-being. You're concerned about how they're really doing. and they remember these things. It's not just, it may seem like it's in one ear and out the other, but these things have a lasting effect on these kids. So you're right, we have to be involved. And I think this is where this whole thing about holding parents responsible is coming from, because people are tired of these kids doing this. And again, my mind goes back to these families that lost children. Like, the fact that you send your child away and you don't get to speak to that child again because someone came up to the school shooting, that's, it's unheard of. It's and people want people to pay, people want someone to pay. They want consequences for these things, and that's why we're seeing that's why I believe why we're seeing these new laws and new uh, accountability steps being put in place. Like, okay, we're going to hold you responsible as a parent to know what your child is doing. And you're right, Randy, going back to, I understand you, there's a process to your children earning certain freedoms. They don't get freedom to make decisions at 4 and 5 and 6 years old. They need your guidance. They need your guidance. And as they grow and as they show responsibility, yes, you ease up a little bit. You give them more and more freedoms. But like you said, until they're at a point where they're working and paying their own way, that's your home. You have the right to check a room. You have the right, if you're paying a cell phone bill, you have the right to check that cell phone, to check social media. No, I want to know what your social media passwords are. I want to know that stuff. And I know it may seem overbearing to a lot of parents, but it's what's necessary to keep them on track and to keep yourself aware of everything that's going on.
Yeah, we need to get back to the olden days.
Yep.
And what happens to me, what I see is that because the law has taken parenting away from parents.
Right. Right.
And they're giving all these kids all this rights to be able to do whatever they do. They can decide if they want to be a male or a female.
Yep.
And you have no say so in the matter. You can't correct them. You cannot tell them wrong, the right, because they have that right. Even from a baby, they have a right. They can't even say their name yet, but they know how they have rights. And they take it all the things that how we used to be governed and take it and take it away. And listen, man, I'm just gonna go on and say it.
Don't get in trouble.
Listen, I ain't thinking about worrying about getting in trouble. But we know that black folks handle things differently than white folks.
We do, absolutely.
And they have came in and put their stamp on a lot of stuff and took away the way that we handle our kids.
Right.
You see, my moms didn't believe in no timeout. My mom believed in knocking you out.
Right.
You
right.
understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It ain't none of this, none of that. No, we got our tails handed to us.
Right.
But I could sit here today and say I never been to jail. I never got in trouble with the law. I always respected my elders. I learned to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. I learned to pull out the seat for a woman. I know how to hold a door for a woman. I learned the basics.
Right.
And they came along and took all that stuff out, threw all that stuff out, and started saying, you got to do this, you got to do this. They have this way. So now they're injecting their way of life on us. And now the laws done got in part and started saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, you ain't going to tell me that this kid can come and be in my house and do this and do that, and then I can't say nothing to him.
And you can't put him out.
And you can't put him out.
Right.
But see, the older people would have packed their stuff and took them to court and said, "You keep them."
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying. You're absolutely right.
And this exactly. See, there was no lock on my door.
Right.
None of that. I don't care if you've given rent.
It's still my house.
My house.
So so this is funny. So and just to be clear, I think you're absolutely right, Randy. Now, anyone that knows me, they knows I am opposed to corporal punishment. My daughters have never ever received corporal punishment from myself and Erica. Now, when you talk about the way that the Black family tends to raise their children, and then the powers that be or the white community coming in and imposing certain things, this is the reality. White people live in a different world than Black people. And the type of punishment, I know that the type of punishment that Black families would give to their children, I know it comes from our history, it comes from what we have learned from slavery, but it also comes from a desire to keep our children alive, right? Because there are certain things that white people or white children can do in society and get a pass, and then a Black child do the same exact thing and get shot and killed. So I know that the ways in which we discipline and raise our children is different, and it is dangerous for the society to come and say, well, you have to raise them this way. Well, you live in the suburbs in a school system and an area where there's not a whole lot of crime and the police are nice to you and you have a really good school. But I live in the ghetto, in the tenement houses where just to get down to the first floor, my child has to endure all of these other things that your children don't have to deal with. So that's the difference. Every child cannot be raised the same way. And those rules that they put in place for us does not work for everyone in every situation. And that's where it gets difficult. Now, I do believe that there's a way to raise a child, but listen, I've never lived in the city. I've never lived in the same situation. So I can't say that my way works for everyone. My way works well for me and my family, but if I was in a different situation, the way I raise my children may be different, because I may feel the need to impose a little more harsher punishments. You know what I mean?
You know, sometimes it's not so much where you might live.
Uh-huh.
You know, some kids, you can look at them and they'll fall apart.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yes.
But then you have some kids that's going to try you.
Absolutely.
And you can give them that look and they look at you back. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and that's just the way it is. Now I'm looking at that my old supervisor, he's had a son, maybe 15, something like that.
Uh-huh.
He would come home. He says, and the guy was Italian. He would come home. He would tell me, man, you should have seen my son, man. He comes in the house. He's telling me and my wife, when he comes home from school, he wants some good food in this house. You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
And he's laughing. But this is the same guy that would turn around and look at our kids and he would call them all kinds of names.
Yep.
And say that we don't have no home training and we don't have, our kids are wild. And it's the same thing when you have the teachers that come from the suburbs and they come into a Black and brown community and then they label our kids because what it is is that the kids don't fear them. You
Right.
know, because I had, when my wife first started teaching, she said that she was in this school and they had these kids. They was all over. They black and brown kids. They all over the kid place.
Right.
So this teacher was like, "If you be nice, I'll give you a cookie." that, that kid looked at her and said, "I could buy my own bee cookies." But now it's the parent. The
Lord,
parent comes up and the kids straighten out. Or if you get a teacher that's firm with them,
right, right,
because they respect people with, that have a firm and an authority. That
right,
I'm not going to take your junk.
right.
They
right.
straighten up. And sometimes they used to have these kids, black and brown kids, they be off the chain. The white teachers couldn't handle it. So they would bring them in my wife's classroom. Wow. And all of a sudden, they straighten up. And they don't know what the difference. I seen one time on Facebook, and I don't know if you ever seen it, but they had this thing where it said they had two kids. How a white person raised their kids and how a black person raised their kid. So the white kid sat in the bucket and he got stuck. He couldn't get out. His leg was up. He couldn't get out. So the mother's panicking. Oh my God. She's trying to help the kid out. So they flipped the switch to the black parent and the kid was trying to get out. The mother go get a switch. She started whack. Homeboy got out that bucket. It's a difference in how we raise our kids.
It is.
I'm telling you, white kids, if they come to your house, there's a difference. They see a difference. They enjoy coming over. They respect it. Right. You ain't gonna come there and just think that you're gonna be able to do whatever you want to do in the house like you can do it at their house.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. So that what they did, they took away the authority from the parents.
Right. And so this is the thing. And Nicole, I see your question. So Nicole asked this question, Randy. She said, "Curious, did you guys not discipline your children using the belt because you didn't have to? In other words, they did not behave badly." Listen, I think all children at some point are going to behave badly. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do some things. They may respond a certain way. They may do certain things. So no, my children were not perfect at all. And then you also asked, was this established when Erica and I got married? I don't think we had an official conversation about it, Nicole, but and listen, we both grew up in households where there was corporal punishment. Like, I was the youngest of 9, so I was a little spoiled. I can't say that I got in a whole lot of trouble. I got 6 older sisters, a mother, 2 older brothers. I was really in that way, I was sort of spoiled. I was able to do just about anything that I wanted, but I do remember, getting some whoopings before, but nothing ever major. But Erica and I, again, we never sat down and said we're not gonna whoop our kids. I think it's sort of that has been my stance, and we found other ways to get the results that we wanted. So be it punishment. And one thing you find, and I must say this, it starts early. From the time that child comes out of the womb, there has to be a certain type of interaction between that child and that parent. So that child grows up a certain way. Now, you can't, from the womb, you can't, like I said earlier, you can't just say, the world is yours, do whatever you want. No, that's not how it works. And showing care and love and compassion and covering them and giving them the freedom to go out, experience the world, and come back. And when I say experience the world, there is there's a training that I did called Circle of Security, and it talks about how you start even as a young age, because most people think that an infant doesn't have a memory and they don't remember the things that they go through as an infant, which is not true. You start this relationship with this child from day one, actually from the time they're in the womb until they're born and going forward. Circle of Security is talks about how much freedom you give that child to go out, maybe trip and fall or do something, and be able to come back to you for comfort, to be comforted and then filled back up and given the confidence to go back out again. And that circle gets bigger and bigger the older that they get, and they'll have more experiences, but always having you there, whoever the primary caregiver is, having them there for that child to come back to get filled up. And this is what we found: beyond a beating or a whooping or a switch or belt, it was more powerful for them to see sort of, and I use this word, but I don't mean it in an extreme way, for them to see sort of your disappointment in what they've done, right? So I made a mistake one time when Jaden was really young. I think she had brought a grade home, and the way I responded, I mean, we have standards in our home, right? So, but the way that I responded, I think, was a little too harsh at that time. I said something like, "That's unacceptable," and we don't do that in this household. We don't do. And I mean, I saw in her face how my words had affected her. My words had affected her far beyond what any beating or corporal punishment would have done. So and this is the other thing that I think is important for parents, especially when you're raising children this way, being able to go back and apologize when you've done something wrong. I know a lot of parents would never ever apologize. Even if they know they've done something wrong, they would not go back to the child. And I'm very expressive with my daughters. Erica's very expressive with our daughters. So if there's something that's done wrong, we will say it. We'll apologize. Keep it moving. Does that usurp our authority? Absolutely not. I think it actually strengthens our authority in the home. So I hope that answered your question, Nicole.
Right.
Go ahead, Randy.
But for me, first of all, I don't like that word corporal punishment.
Okay. Okay.
I'm old fashioned. I believe you spare the rod, you spoil the child.
Got you.
Beat them, they won't die. and I did. But my son was totally different than my daughter. And it's like having, you ever see like these cowboy movies where they have to have a horse and they gotta break the will of that horse. Yep. They gotta ride it till they break it. And I think all kids are different. You can have 4 kids and they're all different. But you might find one that is just downright contrary to everything that you say.
Absolutely.
And I honestly say that, like told you about my daughter. My daughter was the opposite of everything. And even to this day, she's 32 years old, ready to have a strong will.
Right.
She's gonna always prove that she's right, no matter what. So you just gotta learn how to handle it differently. But she was always she started out at Christian Coach
Brooklyn Academy.
Right.
Right.
And I used to get a phone call every day. You hear me, Thurston?
Lord,
every day. We'll go to church. She'd be in Sunday school. My name would flash across the board every Sunday for me to come get Rachel.
Lord.
She would turn it out. If you ask Pastor Beverly could tell you about Rachel.
Okay.
But she was You say go right, she's gonna go left. And this was from a child. And so to the point that my wife even took her, we took her to hospital to have this test done on her.
Uh-huh.
And they said nothing wrong with her. She said
Right.
that she has what you call defiance deficiency or something like that. They
Uh-huh.
gave her some kind of medical name.
Uh-huh.
She's just gonna go the opposite way.
Right. Right.
And so you can spank her, you could take away her telephone,
Yep.
you could put her on punishment, and they just adapt.
Absolutely.
It's like I'm gonna go to this party. I'll probably be put in punishment, but at least I went to the party.
Right.
That type of stuff.
Yep.
And so it's nothing that you can do because every child is different. But they understood where we stood and what we stand for, and we just didn't allow. Now I watched today some of these kids, the young kids, where the parents don't believe in any type of spanking.
Uh-huh.
I
Yep.
believe in talking, and
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, I look at them and I say, man, this kid's gonna kick your butt because you could see right off from the start, 1 years old, and they telling you no, and they strutting off, and you chasing behind them. Now,
Right.
listen, if you came up in the South, Big Mama didn't do that. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand. Absolutely.
But I heard about it. But my mother, who came from the South, you would not dare try to say stuff like that. Whatever they said, it was the law, and you did it. But
Right.
to protect you from the cops beating you.
Yes. Yeah. And so, but check this out, Randy. Check this out. And this is a part of conversations that we've had also, especially with our young Black children. Everybody knows I have all girls, especially with young Black girls or girls of color. I believe, and even as I hear you talk about Rachel, I truly believe that God has put certain things in them that they're going to need later on in life. And even with, giving whoopings or corporal punishment, as I call it, I think when it's taken to the extreme, and I know that's not anything that you did, but I think because you hear stories of those things being taken to the extreme and then laws are put in place and so forth, right? But even beyond that, I believe that many Black families or Black parents have beaten certain things out of their children that they've needed for later in life. They needed a certain strength. I'm not talking about letting your children run wild and do whatever they want to do. But even in my interactions with my girls, like some parents, like we have a lot of fun in our house, and we have a real cutting wit another. And listen, my girls have said things to me and even to Erica that I know that some parents would get upset and would really like come back really hard and harsh. Now, never to a point of total disrespect, but there are certain things that I know my daughters need and I want them to have. So when they are in relationship, when they find that man that they want to spend the rest of their life with, they're going to demand a certain amount of respect. They're going to give respect, and they're going to demand a certain level of respect, and they're going to be able to verbalize it, because I have not beaten that out of them. I have not beaten them into submission where this is the way you act. And Erica and I talk about this all the time. So the twins, I believe, got the best version of parents between me and Erica, because with Brittany, I think we were under the model of, be respectful, speak when you're spoken to. When someone speaks to you, you say hello. And Brittany was not trying to have it. If she didn't want to speak to somebody, she would not speak to them. And you would pull her aside, and you can't do that. But in all honesty, it was more about her embarrassing us than it was about her being respectful to someone. Now I understand. If it's different if she's like that with everyone, but if my child is not responding in a certain way to someone, especially if we're out in public or whatever, I give them enough respect to say maybe there's something about that person that they're not cool with, right? And instead of forcing them to respond, we will talk about it. And I know, I'm very expressive. I talk to my children all the time. So I learned that I can't beat certain things out of them, and it's important to encourage certain behaviors. Now, teaching them how to handle it, like even when you say with Rachel, yes, she has that, and like you said, even to this day, that's a part of who she is. I believe when I see children like that, that it's something that they're going to need, and we teach them how to handle it, how to really deal with it in society overall, and not try to take it all away from them. Because I would hate for them to leave my home and not be equipped to deal with this world, because the world's not going to love them like me. The world's not going to treat them the way that I treat them. But what I can do is teach them to demand the type of respect that they deserve when they go out in the world, and when I'm no longer around, when Erica's no longer here, and even passing it down to my grandchildren. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough, and I understand what you're saying, but it's like I said, I have seen where the only thing you can really do is like really, really pray. You could do all the teaching, you can place all the stuff in them, and for somehow they wind up with this guy, and you like where did I go wrong?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, who's this dude? I mean, and it's and there's nothing that you can do. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, for instance, my wife's niece. She's older. She's about 46, 47. She like young guys.
Okay.
Now she did well for herself. She bought a house, all this kind of stuff. She got 2 kids. So we go to the house to see the house, and she got this guy over there. This young dude. The father's about to have a fit.
Lord.
And I'm honestly, this guy looked like Flavor Flav or something like that.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I mean, felt the brass all in his mouth, and we're like,
what is going on?
and all came up in their 3 daughters. They all came up in the same household.
Wow.
But where this one, and I'm just saying. So it's the only thing you can do is, like you said, you try your best to equip them. I just think that, like I said, I'm not a person that's got to look to be the child until
right.
But do I believe in it? Because, like I said, yeah, I think that it depends on the child.
Yep.
Getting them, because it'll straighten them up. You got a kid that you go into a grocery store, and because they can't have candy, and then they just throw themselves out on the floor, screaming. Now,
right.
Back in the days, your parent would have been all over you.
Right.
But you can't do that now, because somebody done got you on YouTube. You got the cops at your house, but you look, and you give them that look like, wait till I get your hips home. You know what I'm saying? Because you said you worried about them embarrassing you, and they just having this temper tantrum.
Right.
And they throwing themselves out and stuff like that. I mean, talking ain't gonna work, bro.
But it works when you start early, Randy. That's what
I'm telling you. No. Listen, Thurston. The Bible says that children comes into the world speaking lies. You didn't teach them to lie.
It's
in them.
I
And
understand. Yes.
I'm talking 1 years old. They can. You look at them. You're like, how in the world are you walking? That's how small they are.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? And but they know what they want, and because you cannot, and because they can't have it, then I'm just gonna go fall out.
And
I'm talking, you starting that young.
But Randy, I'm telling you, bro, and that is not to say that you can raise the perfect child. I understand some children just have this stuff in them. I know, I do, but I firmly believe in starting young. I mean, from the crib, before they can speak, before if there's a certain way that you interact with your child. And this is the thing, Randy, like that example that you just gave, you can do that. You can start raising your child from birth the right way, and they get a certain age and they will fall out. That may happen, right? But I guarantee you it won't happen on a consistent basis. And I don't believe you'll have to beat them to make them stop, but there's certain things that you place in them from birth, bro. I'm telling you.
We used to put Rachel in her high chair.
Mm-hmm.
So you put in a high chair, she is swapped down in the high chair. You pick her up,
and she swap back down.
Right? Yes. So you've seen it already.
Right.
I had a friend, his son, as a baby, fell out. He said he tapped him one time on the side of his thigh.
Uh-huh.
He said he never had to speak to him again or hit him again.
Right.
But I'm saying, I guarantee that kid on that floor, you tap him one time, they'll get up faster than you talking to him.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
And it might not be that you got to do it all the time. I'm not saying you have to. Your girls was girls that you just was able to have. They were good girls. I always thought they was good girls. From Jada, from I didn't know Brittany too well,
right?
But from Jada and the twins.
Yep.
Y'all were just blessed.
Absolutely.
But when you have some, they gonna try your patience.
Right.
My brother stepped up to my father one time. Swear up. There ain't no talking, man. do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I got you 100%, Randy.
And the reason why you have to go there sometime with them to put the fear in them.
Right.
Like I know people like, guys will they will maybe respect the father and give less respect to the mother.
Right.
And so now the father has to step up and say, listen, this is your mother. If you ever say anything, boom, 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 this is what's going to go down.
Right.
Because you have to put the fear in them. And it's also putting the fear, I believe, is also protecting them from when they go out.
Absolutely. It is a protector.
Like another time when they had this protest. And this mother's son was out there. I don't know if you've seen it. Mother's son was out there in the protest. She came out there, grabbed this dude in front of all his friends, and started wailing on him.
Uh-huh.
And he was a big boy.
I remember that. I remember that video. I remember.
Wailing on him. And, because not only them about respecting the cops, respect what's going on, and also she had to do that in order to put that fear in him.
Right.
And sometimes it's not that's what your first result. Like when I was coming up, I mean,
it was automatic when we were coming up. Yes,
we got whipped. Now, right. I mean, and we did our talking back and stuff like that to my mother, except for when my father say something, my father would say, all right, and that'd be the end of it.
Uh-huh.
But as guys, you're going to test the waters.
Right.
Well, my mother did the disciplining. But I'm telling you now, it's because all the kids are different, and it's not that you want to do it, not to do it, but I'm saying You can do that from an early age, but I've been seeing lately, man, with these young kids today, and I hate to say it like that, these young babies coming out of here today and stuff like that, and these parents trying to do this new school of raising them up. Man, they taking these parents through the ringer.
They are.
And I'm telling you, if they say, okay, let's go in the back a little bit, talk. Matter of fact, I'll tell you one time, Rachel said one of her friends was a teacher.
Uh-huh.
The mother came to the school looking for her son. And so when she saw her son in the classroom, the boy's eyes lit up. The mother went over there and started welling on him. Punching him, punching, boom, boom. So the teacher, mom, you can't do that. She told the teacher to shut up. She said, because of him, I just lost my job.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because at home, he knows how to behave, but he was showing his tail in school. And they kept calling her. And so they let her go. So she came up there and went to tell on him. And because of him acting out and out in the public, not the way that he acts at home, because he knew what he would get if he was home.
Right.
She lost her job. That ain't no talking. We passed that. we passed the talking first.
I got you. But my thing is this. So I'm always going to go back to the beginning. What type of talking was done early on? What type of punishment? What type of training was done? And I get okay, I work with young people, and everyone that works with me, everyone that knows me know I give a whole lot of grace to young people. I really, really do. And I put a lot of, I won't say blame, but I put a lot of pressure on parents to just be mindful and thoughtful about the way you raise children. Now, and like you said, now, Randy, I know that you are a great parent. I know that. And like you said, you had a child that was just sort of defiant, like she's going to go the opposite way. Even when I see that, I see positive in that. Not that she's defiant, not that she's trying to go the opposite way of what she's told, but I see a certain strength in that, especially in a young person. It's frustrating, and it's easy for me to say that because I'm not the parent of that child, and I don't have to deal with it on a daily basis. So I totally understand that. But I go back to what is done early on, what type of interactions are done. And that's not to say that you had the wrong interactions. I'm saying that there's a certain strength in your child, in your daughter, and Rachel. There's a strength in her that causes her to do that. And I believe that ultimately it will be a benefit to her. God placed it in her for a reason. I believe it, teaching her how to. And so your punishment may have been teaching her how to manage that. Even though it may seem like she's still defiant to you, I'm sure that the way that you raised her has helped her to manage that out in the world.
Well, if that is true,
not to a point where she just goes off the rocker and just, does anything crazy. She's still alive. She's still successful. She's still living. She's still striving, right?
Beating them, like you said, is beating stuff out of them. No, that's not about like you taking stuff out of them. It's about kind of like putting things, getting them to understand and somewhat breaking their will. Let's let this look. Let's look at this. No matter what in the movie Roots, no matter what they did with Kunta Kinte, it was in him.
Yep.
To be free and to run away.
Right.
Cut off his foot. They whipped him. They do all this kind of stuff. That's in them. That's you're not going to lose that if that's in them. But the purpose of it, the reason why the scripture says, beat them, they won't die. The reason why the scripture says that spirit of rod to spoil the child is to bring them into the submission so that you can teach them. Because when she was in preschool, now the principal was a white lady at the time, and I had to call pastor on her and talk to pastor honestly, because they had her. She was this educator that they had. She would let them take all the kids out the classroom. Miss Pittman was Rachel's teacher.
Okay.
They would take Rachel out. No, they would take all the kids out the classroom and let Rachel destroy the classroom. Do you hear me?
Wow.
Turn over the desk, throw the chairs, throw everything around, destroy it. And they take the kids out so none of the kids would get hurt. Instead of stopping her.
Right.
Now, she knew what she was doing, because when they got close to the time for me to come pick her up, she straightened out. Because she knew, and then the principal told the teachers not to tell me what she was doing anymore.
Because she was going to get in trouble.
Exactly. But allow her to destroy the room.
Right.
So they looking at my daughter like she got some kind of demon in her.
Yep.
And I'm like, she ain't got no demon because she don't destroy stuff at home.
Right. She knows how to handle herself at home.
Rachel had in her, she's very competitive. So when she was on the basketball court, Rachel could have went Division I.
Wow.
That's how good, because she was competitive and she was good. Everybody knew her. So it never left her.
Wow. We
were just trying to get her to a place where we can kind of like bring her so we can kind of correct her and help her along. Because if we just left her for herself, then we don't know where she would have been.
Right.
She could have just been one of those kids shooting up the schools.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's not necessarily that you kind of like the purpose of, even if you punish them, spank them on the leg, it's not so that you trying to take away or break their will. It's so that you can bring them in so that you can now direct them and guide them. And sometimes they call it tough love. Sometimes you have to do that with them in order for them to understand this is what it is, And you used to hear this old saying to say, this is gonna hurt me more than it hurt you.
Oh yeah. Everybody
you know what I'm saying? But it's not. You didn't understand that when they welling on you.
Right.
But it was kind of like bringing you so that you can kind of understand where, so they can kind of help guide you and direct you. That's why they do it. So now, so that you won't wind up behind bars, so you won't be wind up being killed. This is why I'm doing this. So you have to do it in a way so that you can kind of like teach them. It's tough parenting, and see, now all kids are like that. It's like you can have the youngest kid is more mature than the older kid.
Oh, absolutely.
So you got that young child, you can leave him, listen, I want you to do so and so and so and so. And I used to watch mothers who had to be at work at a certain time. They had to let their kid, who might have been 7 years old, walk their 4-year-old brother with them to school. And now, as a parent, you praying, you're scared, you hope that some parents are around that can help watch them. But this is what, they come home from school, that child got to let them in the house.
Yep, latchkey kids.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. So, but you only can do that if you can trust the child. So from an early age, you try to see that in them, that this child is responsible. This child I can give this kind of this, and that's where it comes in at. Because if you don't do it, then you find yourself going up to the principal. You find yourself going here, because sometimes I think that it's necessary. And now you can see the results of what it is, because look, you see parents all the time talking to their kids, and you see what happened. They go and shoot places up because they talk to them.
Right, but not always.
I'm not saying all the time. But this is what they did. The way that we raised our kids, because we know what it took to protect them. And honestly, children that came up in the 60s, 50s, whatever. I mean, I remember this guy went up there because his son was acting up. So he turned around and punched his son in the chest. Mm-hmm. And the teacher was like, oh, you can't do that. She said that, listen. So he told her, listen, you shut up. He said, because I know your mother and father wailed on you too. And look at you. Wow. You a teacher. And this is what they seem to forget. Because it's not, that's why I say I don't like the name corporal.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, it's not like, and honestly, when we was coming up, and the way my mom used to wail on us, my mom should have been in jail.
Yeah, if in today by today's standards, she
would have called it child abuse.
Right.
But today, you can't even really look at a kid today. You got somebody calling up on you.
Absolutely.
And all that does is give that child more freedom to do. In fact, they even use it against you.
Absolutely. Yes. They will threaten to call CPS on you.
So you have, you can talk, and talking is good. But when nothing else has worked, I'm telling you, that belt gets attention.
Listen, I love this conversation. I'm interested to ask this question: how many people? And so I'm gonna, man, what other term can I use instead of corporal punishment? Because I don't want to. I don't mean abuse, right? I think some people go overboard. So a couple of things come to mind. I think some people go overboard with physical punishment. Is that a better term than corporal punishment? Physical punishment, maybe a little easier to digest. But I think some people go overboard. And then this is the thing that you said, that sometimes it's to bring them back so you can guide them. But whoopings, yes, that's a good one, Nicole. Whoopings, I like that. But I understand that some people would whoop their children, but would they actually teach them going forward? Would they impart some other wisdom, or was it just a whooping to say, okay, you did something wrong, I will whoop you, and we're gonna keep it moving, right? For me, there has to be some type of.
There has to be balance.
It has to be balance and some type of back and forth. And even if you are okay, you in the moment this thing happened, they shouldn't have done it. You whoop them, but then do you come back and have a civil, calm conversation about what love taps is not good, Nicole. Randy's not going to go for love taps. He's not going to go for love taps. But do you come back and have that conversation? So Ernesto's watching, and he posted this a few minutes ago. A parent and a student who wasn't her child got into a fist fight in my school on Monday. Now, that's crazy, dude. Are you in a high school or elementary school, Ernesto? That's the question. Like, how old was this kid? And Pat said they all love taps. So I think you got more people on your side today than me, Randy.
Listen, I'm a firm believer in the scriptures. Hey, God is wrong.
Right. I got you. Absolutely.
Listen, he gives you love taps to bring you in line.
He does.
If they want to use love taps, then he give you love taps. And sometimes those love taps hurt. And they meant to hurt.
To get you in line.
to get you in line. It's not to destroy you. It's not to finish you off. Listen, but when you going wrong, if you have a sheep and the sheep is going astray, the shepherd tap him back in line. You got a guy riding a horse. He has that thing to tap that horse back in line. Mm-hmm. It's not like to destroy it, and that's what is missing. So they took that away from parents, and this is what's going on now. You got to, like you said, you have to teach them, you have to direct them,
right?
You have to share with them. Listen, this is what it is. My mom used to say, "Listen, I'm gonna beat you." That's what she was. There was no love tap. I'm gonna beat you. She didn't use that word. But now, it wouldn't happen that day. It wouldn't happen the next day.
So now you're wondering when it's gonna happen.
I know it's coming.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And so now I'm trying to be on my best behavior, because hoping that she's going to forgive me.
Uh-huh.
And late in the midnight hour, God's going to turn it around. And it didn't work in my favor. She came in that room and pulled that cover back while I was asleep. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But the thing is, some things you don't even have to talk to them about, because they already know what they did wrong.
Right.
You don't even talk. That's why you did it. You already know what you did wrong. But like I said, when you got a kid, my wife's niece, her daughter is 1 year old. Just turned 1. So now she gets out the car and she's screaming all the way over to the grandparents' house, the girl screaming. So when they take her out the car, she lays out flat on the sidewalk. she's just laying there, just screaming. And the grandfather's standing there looking at her. And so then everybody just said, well, like, Bumper, let's go in the house. And then she got up and came in the house.
Uh-huh.
But in the old days, they would have tapped that leg.
Right.
And you listen, you want to cry? I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Wow.
And she would have got up. She would still been crying, but you're not going to be laying out in no floor. You ain't going to be going in the store, throwing yourself down because you can't get what you want. No. All that stuff starts in the home. Like you said.
I totally agree. It starts in the home, and it starts early.
It starts early. I'm not saying it does start early.
Right.
Like I said, the scripture says you that they come into the world speaking lies. You don't teach them to lie, but it's just something that's in them. Right. So it's that contrariness that's in them from an early stage that you have to break. Like you will hold a kid, and a kid will start wanting to hit. They hit you, and you like trying to grab their hand, and they hit you. But if you tap their hand back, they think twice before. But you just gonna keep on letting them smack you all up in the face, and they only months old, and you holding them. No,
right.
You tap that hand back, I guarantee they'll think twice before they hit you again.
No doubt.
And you can't talk to them because they don't understand.
Yes, you can talk to them, and they do understand. See, that's what I'm talking about, Randy.
You can say no.
You can talk to them, and they will understand. Believe me. So it may not be that immediate response that you want, right? But you can. That's exactly what I'm saying. And again, I am not trying to throw anybody under the bus for their way of raising their kids. Not at all. And like you said something earlier, I know that I have some phenomenal girls. Like they are just, that's their makeup. Now they are strong-willed, very smart girls. They have opinions. But I believe it's because we started really early with them in the way we interacted with them. And again, it's not to say that my way is the only way or the best way, That's the way that it's worked for me. So hold on, let me get to a couple of comments here. First of all, Ernesto said that mom that was fighting with the kid was arrested. Do you know why they were fighting? Like what happened? That is just it's just bananas to me that a parent would come up to the school and
Oh,
fight a kid.
11th grade.
But there's no telling what took place before the fight. So I mean, it could be any number of things. And I know that young people can be extremely disrespectful. Extremely disrespectful. Totally understand it.
Well, Rachel had parents wanted to beat. Now she teach elementary.
Okay.
And she had parents come up there want to beat up elementary kids.
Really?
All because something might have happened between
their
kids.
Child and that child. Maybe
Right.
the child was bullied.
So now the parent want to come up.
Right.
So now they have to protect the kid, the parent. I mean, the child.
Right. Of course.
So now, of course, the other parent find out about it because we got to report it now. And now you got two mothers out there going at it.
Right. Right. Right.
So one thing that Rachel says she don't do is she don't bring two parents together.
Really?
She said no, she ain't getting in between that. What she did, she had the cops there.
Okay.
And so when they wanted to bring the cops to get parents together, Rachel said, "Sure, we could do that, but you got to be here."
Wow.
You're gonna be the mediator. I'm not being the mediator between two parents.
I'm not jumping in no fight when it breaks.
I'm not doing that. Right. I'm not no counseling. I ain't doing that. So, but yeah, you do find parents that will come up there, and they was at a end of the year picnic she had, and these parents, they on the phone. They supposed to be watching the kids, helping. They on the phone. They cursing out loud, and they all this kind of stuff. So she has to like tell the parent, "Mom, please be cordial. Could you step away? You got kids," and they will get an attitude.
Of course, yes.
But this is where you at. I mean, like I said, the households are different, and but I do know, without a shadow of doubt, that switch will put them in line quick.
So listen, there needs to be some more training, bro. So this is the thing. You don't have to go to any type of class to be a parent. You don't even have to understand how to parent. There is really great resources and great ways in which to learn how to, I'll say, parent kids more effectively. Because I know, like we said earlier, every way, there's not one way that works for every child, because every child is different. Even in the same families, children are different. So there may be different levels to the way that you parent the child, even in the same household. Okay, so Ernesto said that kid was in 11th grade, so high school. Okay. 11th graders, so 11th graders can be big. I totally understand that. So let me go back. Nicole, so you were mentioning this. This is my CCC 40 year anniversary t-shirt. I got it at one of our events that we were having. And I've had it for quite a while. It's extremely comfortable. I'm sure if you call the church, you could probably, if they have more, I'm sure you can get some there. Mom was arrested. Yes, learned behavior can be unlearned. You're absolutely right, Patricia. But again, I'm gonna go back. If you start early, then you are imparting certain things in these children early on, and you're teaching them how to behave and how to interact, then giving them a safe haven, a safe space where they know they're being heard, they're being understood, and they don't want to, even when those things are in them, believe me, they don't want to lose, or they don't want to disappoint or lose your respect, because you are the person closest to them. You are the one that's feeding them, that's comforting them, that's speaking with them, understanding them. And again, even with all of that, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to step out of line. Absolutely. I believe that there is a way to do it without whoopings. But I do understand some children push you to the limits. Absolutely. No doubt about it. I totally understand it.
You know,
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
you know. Well, I mean, I know you keep saying that. You know, we got to start early,
Uh-huh.
and the Bible says, "Train up a child in the way it should go, and when it older,
Mm-hmm.
it won't depart."
Yep.
And but somehow, in that time, as they grow older, they come into their own. They come into their own way of thinking. You did all the thinking. You started early, and all of a sudden, you look and say, "Like, where did I go wrong?"
Absolutely.
And it's nothing that you did anything wrong. It's just that now they just started to develop their own way of thinking, the way they do things. They under a lot of peer pressure,
Yep.
you know, from their peers, you know, and this is what causes them to to act out, or they begin to feel, that pressure to be a part,
Right.
you
Right.
know. So this is where you see that. You understand what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely.
and I, because sometimes you like sitting there and you like, listen, I done dotted all the I's, I done crossed every T's, I done brought them up in the ways of the Lord, I done brought them in the ways of the church and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. And then you sit back baffled because you don't understand why or what happened, and it's nothing that you do wrong, but see, because in parenting, when from the time that child is born, it's about you teaching them to prepare them for the world.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's why you learn to teach them, yes, ma'am, no,
Oh,
no, sir.
yep.
You teach them all of these things. These are all the ways that all the ways that God had placed in the earth that now has been removed. The scriptures talked about. All the boundaries, all the things has now been removed.
Right.
So now everybody just, and then you have babies having babies. So what happens a lot of times, you have grandparents raising
Oh,
the children,
absolutely.
and they can't handle these kids today. So the kids are basically running the household. They come in and do whatever they want to do because the mama is going out having a good time and doing all this other stuff. So it's a lot of factors that you have to look at as far as saying, okay, this is what it is. We're going to teach them. We're going to do this at an early age, and you should start. It's supposed to start at an early age,
Right. Absolutely.
and but the thing is, as they begin to go, see, at a certain age, now you become where you start to become more constructive,
Mm-hmm.
uh, um, constructive as far as your guiding them.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
see,
Right. Right. You're instructing
so
them,
yeah,
and at certain stages, you give more and more freedom. You give
right,
more and more space for them to express their individuality. But that doesn't start at 1 and 2 years old, right? It's there's stages where you start to give a little more freedom, and you're still guiding them. You're still giving input, but you've established from an early age or an early time that you are someone that can be trusted. You're somebody that's going to love them regardless. You're someone that they can always come to and share and talk about whatever it is, even if it's something that they know may be disappointing to you. I think, and I always go back to the church. I do believe that the church has hindered a lot of young people from speaking about certain things just because, the way that it is talked about in church or in regular conversation, the child feels like, well, I can't, I have this feeling, I have this thing that's on my mind, but I can't bring that to my mom because or my dad. They're gonna be judgmental. They're gonna judge me. Will they understand? Will they just disregard me um and not be able to have a conversation? Then that leads them to going out to the world for answers, which we know is the wrong way to go because the world is going to tell them what the world wants them to know. We're going to tell them what we believe the Bible is telling them. But the way in which we express it to them is important in order for them to feel free to talk about anything and everything. Ernesto, what's going on, bro? How you doing, man?
Hey, can you hear me well?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It looks like something's in front of your screen.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Okay, cool, 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 cool. You
Yeah.
good?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Excellent, excellent. So, what was the deal? Did you actually see the fight, or you just heard about this?
No, I saw it, man.
You
Not
saw it happen?
not only did I see it, I'm the one who dragged mom away.
Wow, dude.
Yeah,
So
it was so bad. The situation was so bad that they had to they made a soft lockdown in the school.
Wow.
Let me tell you. And the crazy thing is that when I think you guys will find this funny, when I'm in the soft lockdown, I'm in a room with like 3 other students and 2 other teachers. I get a text from Taylor saying, "Hey, how come your school got locked down?"
wow.
Wow. How did she hear about it?
Yeah, social media.
Oh
Everybody's
my
texting.
goodness.
I heard actually that the melee was posted on Citizens app.
Wow.
That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was.
So
I
there was a mother fighting another girl.
Yeah. So what happened was, the short of it is, I think I think the 2 girls had gotten to a fight, and what they
Okay.
usually do is they call up the parents to see if they could pick up the kids. Now, normally what happens is that you have one kid all the way maybe on the 5th floor and another kid on the 1st floor, so the parents don't interact or anything.
Right.
But I think one of the deans messed up, and when the mother of one of the girls had ran into the kids, I think it was during a period change.
Mm.
So there's a
Wow.
lot of kids, and from what I understand, the girls start going back and forth, and the mother was like, don't talk to my child like that, and all this other stuff. And then the other kid started talking to the mother like she grown.
Of course. Yep.
So mom was like, since you talking like an adult, you know,
Jesus.
if you a rabbit, hop, jump. I guess, I mean, I guess that's, you know, and but I'm in the main office at this time, but you could
Okay.
see like there's these huge windows, these huge pane windows that you could see. And next thing I know, um yeah, it was posted on social media immediately, Patricia.
Wow.
In fact, I actually have several videos actually. And what happened was they started they went at it. They went
Wow.
at it. Now, yeah, I've seen the video. If you saw the video, you wouldn't know.
Who's the parent?
Right, because they're about the same size,
Wow.
you know. And so I'm in the main office. They run out, they run out. School safety is there. But then what started to happen was that the 2 girls have friends and they started to fight.
Oh man.
So what happened is we have like a vestibule area, and
Uh-huh.
then there's a lobby. So what happened was that the kids started fighting in the lobby, but the staff was really quick. And they really, like, you saw them like holding back the kids and stuff. And going back to the whole thing, we don't have enough school safety.
Uh-huh.
Had some school safety that quit because they weren't getting vaccinated.
Wow.
So where we had like, and then there were a couple that had to be off that day. So they literally went and got, yeah, so even the parent and the child they broke up, right? They rushed the parent and her child into the main office, right? And they literally had to barricade the door because the kids was banging on the door trying to get after the parent and the child.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this was Monday. And then when that started to happen, the mother inside the main office grabbed a set of pens that was in a glass jar, and she dragged it off. The jar broke. She had the pens to say, like, whoever comes through that door is going to get stabbed. And then she picked up one of the broken glass.
Dude.
But she put the broken glass in her pocket. But thank goodness one of the assistant principals had seen her put the glass in her pocket, because I guess she was going to shank someone by surprise.
Wow.
And was able to remove the what you call it. Yeah. So but yeah, that was Monday. I'm leaving a lot of stuff out, but
So how does that child ever come back to that school?
well, that's the problem, right? So that's the problem with the suspension policies in New York City now. You pretty much have to do a whole lot. Now, both kids got suspended. Unfortunately, both kids are coming back to school on Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, man.
We tried to convince the other mother that wasn't hold on. So let me tell you, because my dearly beloved went upstairs, but you know, I'm the one who broke up that fight.
Wow.
Between the kid and the mother.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not supposed to.
That's
really?
right.
You're not supposed to get involved?
Nope.
You just let whatever happen happen?
You gotta leave it. You gotta leave it to school safety.
Oh my! But you don't have enough safety.
That's correct.
Well, I mean, if they get hurt, you know, they can get hurt, and then you know the first thing that you ain't gonna say, well, you got no business getting involved.
Wow.
But you as a teacher or anybody, you're not just gonna let them stand there and do it.
Well, some do.
You have teachers.
Some of them do.
Yeah, my wife has said, you know, you have teachers. All my back. I twisted my back, and now they out.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow. So Louisa asked, did anyone get hurt bad?
So Thurston, let me ask you: do you talk or you use the belt?
I knew you were going to say. I knew that you were going to say that, Randy. I knew it. But remember, this is 11th grade. They're supposed to be talking from birth, so it doesn't start in 9th and 10th grade. No, if you were talking from birth, you can avoid some of these things. I'm not saying all of them.
Listen, you could be talking from birth, but at a certain point, I'm telling you, they flip the switch.
But okay, so let me ask you this. Oh, you know what? That's a good question, Randy. Let me ask you this. Do you think that either of those children that were fighting ever got whoopings at home? I would say most likely they did. But what would you say?
I would say probably.
See,
one of the kids. So I spoke to the mother of the kid who the mother wasn't there.
Okay.
I spoke to her. She says so. According to the teachers, the deans and stuff, they said that the girl who fought the parent is really around school is the one who's the troublemaker. They said the girl and what they the joke as some of the deans was like that mother who turned up and fought, they said acted more like the kid who she fought. It's almost
Wow.
like they were switched at birth
Wow.
because so I'm speaking to the girl who fought the parent, her mother. Her mother said that she knows her daughter acts up in school because, she's been a problem from day one in the school. And she says, the funny thing is that at home, she's a different child. That's why I made the comment. That's why I wrote the comment because I heard what you guys were talking about.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, this is one parent that kind of says, well, when Randy, you was talking about your daughter, like she claims that that's kind of similar to her child because she says when she's home, she's a different child. Now, I had a discussion with another assistant principal who said she didn't believe the mother because she said if that was the case, then we wouldn't have had an issue for 3 years with this child.
Wow.
So but you don't know. Kids are different. And kids are different. You can't raise the children the same, right?
Right.
It's amazing how you have some two kids that come from the same womb and same
And
same
totally
father,
different.
same
Yep.
mother, totally different.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm not with that. I don't know what the mother says, but I know that the conflict started between those two girls in middle school.
Lord.
And from what I understand, and I heard both sides of the story, and both parents were involved in a lot of this stuff.
So the parents have known about this for a while.
So they had a history.
They have a
Yep.
long, long history, it seems like.
Wow.
But you really don't know. There's what the mother who got arrested say. I've spoken to the other mother, and now we were trying to get this child, one of the kids, to get a safety transfer. And they had everything ready to get this safety transfer. And all mom is concerned about is the other child. Did she get suspended? Like, who cares? Who cares? And then there were fights between the two camps after school.
The friends of the girls fighting each other.
That is correct. That is correct. From what I understand, the fight started because the girl, and let me tell you something. I got to say this before, you end the show.
Mm-hmm.
That child lost that fight.
Wow.
She held her own. But there was a point where I saw the video now. So I saw, but I know that I had went in and I stepped. Unfortunately, Thurston and Randy, this is not the first time I broke up a fight between a child and an adult. So I stepped in front of the child, and I'm in front of the mother, and my left hand grabbed her shoulder and to put her arm's length. Right. And it's two women fighting, right? So you got to be careful as a man. So my hands were up.
That's a dangerous position, man.
My hands were up, and I literally had to step in between. Luckily, what I saw the video, the school safety officer was pulling the child
Okay.
by the waist. But they were like, reaching for each other. and that gave me like a crease to kind of step in between. I took the shoulder, took mom length back, but then and I moved her back, but then I noticed that why is the girl still like wailing behind me?
Uh-huh.
I looked over to my right. The mother had her left hand, the girl's here wrapped around her fist and literally pulling the hair over my shoulder.
Wow.
So I grabbed her wrists, mom's wrists. I just like, in the, I got a monotone voice. It came through, I was just like, Ma, let go. Ma, just let go. And she
Wow.
did. She did let go. She did let go. It's to the point where I had my colleagues told me, they were like, look, Ernesto, you should go get a COVID test because you never know.
Right.
Because you
Right.
were in the middle. They said wait a couple of days, take the test. I did. Thank God came out negative.
Negative.
But yeah. But your boy was a little sore, man, because I saw the video. I was like, oh, that's why I'm sore. Because when mom had her hair, homegirl was still she was still wailing.
Lord.
Yeah.
That's dangerous, man. It's like, again, so but in the midst of those situations, I'm sure your mind doesn't say, "Oh man, I'm not supposed to get involved." Like you're trying to stop someone from getting hurt. And in essence, you could, or not you, but any teacher, whatever, you could literally stand by and watch someone get murdered, and you're not supposed to do anything.
You know what? But it seems like it's a
Catch-22.
yeah, because if you don't do something, then you try to get why you didn't do something.
Well,
Right.
not
But
only
then you
that,
can
Randy,
always say
Randy,
the union don't back you. But my wife always say, you don't work for the union.
Wow.
The
Randy,
union doesn't
not
work
only
for them.
that, Randy, not only that, but what if I have good intentions and mom or that child accused me of touching them somewhere?
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, that you know, that's that risk. When one of the assistant principals, now in the video, you can't really see me that well because you have one of the assistant principals blocking, right? Blocking a lot of the cameras. And what the thing is that what happened was that these kids came back different from quarantine.
Wow.
We had coming back from Thanksgiving break, which it's the holidays, most conflicts happen during the holidays and stuff
Right.
like that because but we had more fights in 1 week than we had in 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
And then we had a rough Friday. I know the deans, like I have one of the radios, and all you hear is the deans and the school safety. Like Friday was a bad day, so they thought, "Oh, okay, they got it all out," not thinking what was going to happen on Monday.
On Monday. Right.
Now we were like planning on what's going to happen on Tuesday, because when I spoke to the other mother, she was telling me that, oh yeah, there's stuff going on social media. Who's
Wow.
gonna get who's gonna get what? So I solicit your prayers this week, brothers, because
Yes.
you know um we don't want anyone to get hurt.
Well, are they planning on having cops there?
Oh, I don't even want to talk about the cops, so I can't tell you how many of my colleagues called 911. And one of my colleagues said that when they call, they were like, well, is it really serious? Because my school, like where I'm at, we don't really have, compared to other schools, really big stuff going
Uh-huh.
on. So they were like,
It's
they
not that
only brought 2 cops.
Yeah, you know, when my wife finds out that she said a lot of them because they don't want to do the paperwork.
Absolutely.
She said even school safety. She said that she had stuff come up in her school, and they try to dismiss it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it depends on your level.
No, Rachel's always she's going. Y'all have this thing called ORS.
Yes, the ORS report. Yeah,
right. So
yeah,
she put everything in ORS. So now they have to.
They have to do the paperwork.
And let me tell you something.
And they don't like it.
That stays. Those
she does.
reports. It doesn't go anywhere. It stays with that kid.
Wow.
Yeah, it stays. It stays with that kid because they were talking about looking at some of the ORS reports for when these kids were in middle school. And
yeah, it's a track record.
Yeah, it's a track record. It is a track record.
It's to help protect you in case anything comes up. Because now they say, you know, why you didn't do it, or what time did you put it in. So she always makes sure that the teachers, the assistant principal, put it in ORS. So it protects them in case anybody says anything or come up with anything, because everybody will try to use things, and that's what makes the school safety do their job. That makes the cops get involved,
right?
You know, because she has some cops that comes around the school. You know, they a couple of brothers that want to help with because they understand the situation with the school, so they come around often and they talk with her and stuff like that, and talk to the student. So whenever she calls, they there. You know, so having a cops, but you know, high school is a whole nother beast, different.
Man. Yeah, man. Different beast. But let me tell you, in our K through 8, because we got 2 K through 8s on the campus, not in the building. We have two other separate buildings, and there was this woman held this kid. They were elementary school, and told her child, beat the bleep, bleep, bleep out of it. And the kid started wailing away. And this parent held the kid, another woman's child, while her son was wailing away. Now, she got arrested too. This happened in October. She got arrested too. And her thing was, and when the cops came, she told everything. And like, she just didn't care. But she needed to care because a child saw her get arrested. And but what happened was that her child was getting bullied by this kid, and like all week. And she claims that she was calling the school, and they didn't do anything about it. And the last straw was that the day before, the child came home and had like soda, popcorn, and some stuff all in the kid's hair. And, you know, by this other kid. So mom was like, enough is enough. And she ended up getting arrested.
Wow. So, man, this
Sorry, man. I got so many.
Listen, I've heard that before, and I've heard the same narrative that something happens to a child, the parent calls the school, nothing happens, and the bullying continues, and then, you know, the parent feels like, well, I got to take this in my own hands and come up and do something. And I know it's wrong. I know it's wrong what she did. But I understand parents feel like helpless. Like, I'm sending my child to the school every day, and I'm basically sending my child to get bullied and to get. I mean, that's traumatic. I'm sending my child into a traumatic situation. So yeah, it's unfortunate that the child saw her get arrested and all of that. But
I have to add one more thing to the story. The mother that got arrested had a 1-year-old on the car seat,
watching the whole thing.
No, but yeah, but her husband was there. I didn't talk about the husband, but
Lord have mercy.
the husband or the boyfriend watched the whole thing.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Randy, I bet everybody in these stories have gotten whoopings before. Everybody. I bet you everybody in these stories have gotten whoopings before. All right. So okay, let me reset. And Pastor, Pastor, I'm coming to you because I want you to share your story. But I'm gonna put the question out there. You guys can answer if you want or not. And I may be the only one on my side. How many of you guys still, I guess believe in is not the right term, but
Believe in whipping?
yes, how many of you believe in whoopings or corporal punishment? Okay, I see two hands there, and even y'all that are listening. Pastor Pat says, "Stop, Thurston." So, okay. Ernesto, I didn't see you. You went off camera. I don't know if you raised your hand or not. Do you believe in corporal punishment? You don't have children, but do you believe in?
But I raised my brother.
Okay.
And he, I never actually struck him in anger.
Okay.
But I had ways.
Whoopings.
I had ways of making his life very, 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 very difficult.
Okay.
Because I knew how to get him. Because
That's very interesting.
Because my mom had taken custody of him. It's a long story. And she was always afraid that if she whooped him, that they would have taken him away.
Yes, CPS, absolutely. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So she never did. So I was in charge of a lot of the discipline. Wow. So I had to find creative ways to get him, and he was a very strong-willed kid. He literally, if he used to love to watch the Jamie Foxx show, and I would say you can't watch TV for a week, and he'd be very upset, very, very upset. But he got the lesson. But just to prove me, like, you can't get the best of me, he would not watch TV for an extra week, just to prove me.
Strong will. He wanted to win. He wanted to win.
I'm not gonna bend. And that was him. That was him. He's 30 years old now.
He's 30 years old now.
Yeah, Vaughn knows.
He's alive and well.
Yeah, he's a teacher.
See, Randy? See what I'm saying?
Teacher. But let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Let me tell you. People that got spanked and whipped is great.
I think
because of that discipline helps stir them in the right way.
Yeah, he had to think of creative ways to discipline. Go ahead, Ernesto. Go ahead.
But you can also put rice on the ground and make them kneel on it. It's still punishment.
But let me tell you, we got but we got him late. We got him when he was 6 years old.
Really?
Yeah. And he came from, a difficult background. Which is another reason why my mom was like, and I'm like, and I used to see this kid get away with stuff, and I used to be like, yo, I could never get away with that, yo.
A question, Ernesto, did you get whoopings when you were young?
Boy, did I! Wow. My uncles, the nickname they had for my mother was Mommy Dearest.
Wow.
Yo, wow. Your boy got it. Your boy got it. Let me tell you that. Look, I didn't that fight, but that was nothing compared to what my mom used to give me.
Listen, Thurston, you would have got a beating when you burnt the house down for making French fries. I would have cut your tail.
But I should not have gotten a beating. I should not have gotten a beating for that.
Why?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because I'm the youngest in the house. My siblings are not feeding me. I took it upon myself to make my own food. I forgot, messed up. I left the grease on the stove. Now, they should have been taking care of me as a kid.
Well,
right?
you should have waited. You should have waited until they took care of you.
No, they should have fed their younger sibling.
They should have waited. You should make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You got better chances. You got no business touching that stove, and you know it.
I did not. So that's the thing. I don't think I should
That's
have
the problem.
deserved a beating for that. Even though it was a huge mistake, I don't believe I should have gotten a beating.
Listen, like I said, God, what they call it, love taps. God gives you love taps. I'll call it what it is. God knows how to whoop your behind in love, and that's the bottom line. He said, "Spare the rod, you spoil the child."
Listen.
Now you want to come up with this new way of doing. Listen, you want to come up with this new way of doing things, and this is why you got kids out there doing what they're doing, because exactly what Ernesto said. They told his mother, "If you beat him, we'll take him away." So they're already taking the power away from you.
Right. But okay, and then going back to Ernesto's story, like you said, they got him late. He's 6 years old. He comes from a difficult situation. So there were some things put in, and like you said, Pastor, that stubbornness was a survival mechanism for that child. That child learned that. That child learned that from whatever environment he was in. Those things are learned. Now, if that child
got it out of him.
If that child
got him out of him.
No, if that child was born into a loving, caring relationship with a primary caregiver that was thoughtful and attentive and gave discipline when needed, but also gave a safe space for that child. I mean, listen, I know we hear horror stories all the time, and I don't think that horror stories are the majority. I don't.
Let me ask you, did your sisters get beat? Your older sisters?
Yes. My sisters got beatings when they needed to get beatings. Absolutely.
And you the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
And the spoiled one?
And the spoiled one. I'm the youngest. I'm a boy in a house filled with women.
And you're the spoiled one. And got away with burning down the house.
I sure did. I did not get a beating for it. But I wouldn't say I got away, because that is a traumatic thing. I mean, I'm a child and I have to deal with it.
It can't be that traumatic because you burned down another house.
But it was still traumatic because I'm a child and I have to deal with the fact that my mistake burned down the home that we were in.
Listen, don't let Thurston cook French fries around your house. 2 houses. 2.
Listen.
Can I throw something in there too? What also another wrench that goes into a lot of parenting is that the school, the camps, organizations like Thurston's, at least in New York City, we're mandated reporters.
Right.
So if you see something or whatever, by law, if I see a parent whooping a kid's behind, like old school, kid act up, mom comes with the belt, start whipping that kid in the tail, I may have to call ACS.
That's right.
I've told parents before, especially when I was working with younger ones. I said, and they grab their kid real quick, and I tell them, I said, ma'am, I want you to know I'm a mandated reporter. I tell them because I know where they're coming from, but I'm gonna have to do what I have to do, because God forbid if something happens to that child, then me and my organization now are liable.
Yes.
I might say, oh, culturally, like that's how we do it. But
they don't care about that,
they
bro.
don't care about that. They don't care about
Nah.
that. And let me tell you, I
But
had
you
to
know what?
I had to
And
call
that's your livelihood.
in East Harlem. I had to call ACS because this 16-year-old girl came in with a huge welt on the side of her face.
Wow.
And all she would tell me is, I got it from home. I had to call the police.
Yes.
The police came, look, was like, and they started asking her questions. You know, if the cops not trained on this stuff, and they're not, of course the child shut down because now she's feeling victimized.
Yep.
Now I have to stay with the kid, right? They had to bring in another person who spoke. The kid wouldn't say anything unless I was there. We had to go to the precinct. The cops were pressuring me now. They were like thinking I'm one of them naive social workers. I'm like, bro, you don't know where I came from.
Right.
You know, and they, anyway, it wasn't until EMS came and EMS corroborated everything. EMS, the girl didn't even say nothing. They were like, oh yeah, she got hit right here. And that was after she was healing from it. It wasn't that fresh. And EMS was like, boom. They arrested her grandmother.
Wow.
Who was like 4'6", little roly-poly Puerto Rican lady. They could barely put the cuffs around her back. And let me tell you, the cops felt horrible. I felt horrible. But you know what? And guess what? When I got back to the hood, you know what them kids was telling me? A lot of stuff came out. Grandma didn't hit her. Her mother hit her. But check this out. This is hood stuff. Abuelita, grandma, took the hit because Ma just got a job from the TSA.
Lord.
Just started a week.
And if she got arrested, she would lose that job.
She would have lost the job. So when they started asking questions, Abuelita was like, I'm going to take the hit. And she took the hit.
Sacrificing our children, man. We're sacrificing our children, bro.
And it started because she came home late. And from what I understand, she started back talking to her mother. And mom took like one of them umbrella holder stuff, smacked her across the face. Because she was giving back lip.
I don't
get that would have happened to me.
She wrote a check with her mouth
like that girl.
All right, hold on.
She wrote a check with her mouth that her butt couldn't cash.
Same thing with that girl at the school.
Right. All right, hold on. Pastor, I gotta bring you in the right way, man. First of all, thanks to Pastor Pat for holding it down before you even came in. She's been rolling with us all day. Great input, great questions. And listen, I know I'm in the minority today because we're on a show with a bunch of black people, older black people that grew up in this culture of, whoopings and beatings and corporal punishment. And I understand it. I totally understand it. Like I told Randy earlier, I don't believe in corporal punishment. I've never had to beat my girls. And of course, Randy was sharing that he does believe in it. He and even quoting scripture to back himself up on the fact that spare the rod, spoil the child, and so forth. All right, Pastor, and I can see from your comments where you stand. I want your input on this. I mean, you already answered the question that I put out there, but so what are your thoughts on this? On your concept around whoopings, I call it corporal punishment. Randy doesn't like that word, but I call it corporal punishment on whoopings. What are your thoughts on that?
So listen, straight up, I believe I'm sorry.
No problem.
I believe in the backseat of correction. Straight up. However, I think as a parent, you have to have the law of restraint. And if you cannot restrain and control yourself, where you go to the point of abusing and injuring a child, then that's not acceptable. Okay.
Right. Absolutely.
So then there's the balance. Now, that being said, I had no compunction with, either my wife, my daughters. I would kind of like, when you have daughters, it's a little bit different. Okay. You tend to be a little bit more gentle, and at the risk of sounding sexist, because they're built differently. So I would have to really, really be pushed to apply physical punishment to them. However, I would not stop my wife from doing it.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then there was one instance when one of my daughters, she was like 16 or 17, and she blew up at me. And when sister girl knew anything, she was on the floor looking up, straight up. I had took her DOWN down, and it happened to my son. I was getting on his case, and he didn't like something that he didn't like what I was saying, and he did like that. Ooh. The next thing that cat knew, he was on his back looking up. And my wife was like, ooh. And I told my wife, I said, you go in the corner and sit down. I got this. I got this. And he was looking, and I told him, I said, as long as you live, don't you ever flex at me. Don't you ever. And he was like looking, and he started to get up. I said, I didn't tell you to move. You stay there until I'm finished. I had took him down. And you know what? I never had a problem with him since. See, the home environment with your family is the place for that kind of correction to be administered, all things being equal, because your parents, for the most part, are not going to go beyond a certain point. But however, the police will. See, that's a fact. The police will. So that's why you got to find the wisdom in terms of what works in your family mechanic, your family dynamic, who you are. There has to be, during a child's tenure, there has to be some form of physical, corporal, whatever you want to call it. All right. And then see, that was one of my favorite sayings with my kids. I would tell them, I said, be sure you're not writing checks with your mouth that your butt can't cash. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when I would say that, okay, they knew it was on back up. Okay. Because I had more than enough tender to fund your check. I was more than enough capable, and my kids knew that. But my daughters, I would only go but so far with them, and they knew daddy was serious. Okay. Now my mother was crazy. Okay, straight up, she was crazy, but she had to be, because she was raising 6 boys and a girl by herself. Let me tell you what my mother did one time. Okay, one of my brothers did something, and she said, Darren and Georgie, come in here now. And so we came in the room. She said, hold him down. I'm going to beat him. She said, and if he moves, y'all are next. Now, I'm like 16, 17. My brother's like, he's a year behind me. It never dawned on us, later for this woman, we could take her. But we had just that much respect for her. So you know what? We held him down, and we told him, yo, man, if you move, when she's done, we got next. Because we didn't want to get it. So that's the kind of environment that we came up in, man. My mother, she had no choice. She was raising these 7 kids, 6 of whom was boys, and she had to maintain order. Now, check it out. Raising 6 boys of color of African descent. None of them never wound up on drugs. None of them never went to prison. Okay, none of them, we just a statistic, okay? That is a testament. But you know what? She had no problem. And my mother had an extension cord. See, I come from old school. Forget the belt. She had an extension cord. And them things, man, you want to talk about welts? Oh, man, them things would give you, you would be, by your stripes, you would be healed, okay? With them things.
Person don't know about that. You got
to. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it happen to other people, but yeah, I mean, it's not a personal experience for me.
And my mother knew My mother knew how to do it. My mother knew how to do it in such a way that she really could not be, accused of it. But you remembered that thing, okay? Now,
Right.
let me tell you, when y'all talked about the parent with the child, let me tell y'all what happened to me, man. I was working for a church, and I was over at this particular church. I was minister of music at this church. This is while I was pastoring. I told y'all my situation was very unique when I first started pastoring. So I was on site doing music prep work, getting ready for the choirs and the praise and worship team, whatever. And my wife calls frantic. She says, "You got to come home. You got to come home. Kimberly is fighting." This is my youngest daughter. And my youngest daughter is like 4, what is she, like 4'7" or 5'1" or something like that. And she has a Napoleon complex, okay? Because she's so short, she feels like she's got to prove herself. And she just, she just like really goes out there. So she was a sophomore, and this girl who was a senior was terrorizing her. So the girl followed her home. Well, Kimberly, 4'9", 5'1", whatever, beat this senior's tail. I mean, whipped her behind straight, okay? The girl went and got her mother and her cousins and came to my house, and they was going to jump her. So now my wife is calling me, "You got to come home, you got to come home, you got to come home." So I come home, and this girl's mother and her cousins is there. Kimberly's friends is there. They get ready to rumble from the house. I'm like, okay, I'm known in the neighborhood. This is Rev, whatever. I can't have this happen. So I come in and listen. Listen, brothers, I'm going to be straight with y'all now. I'm going to be straight. Okay. This is Darren talking now. This is Darren. I was ready to mix it up in Jesus' name.
It's your family.
I was ready. Okay.
It's your family.
So, because what happened was these individuals, okay, you coming onto my property now. That's number one. Oh no, before that, you coming after my daughter? Because
Right.
when you have daughters, no. All bets are off. It's different when you got daughters, okay? All bets are off. So you're coming after my daughter, okay, you coming on my property, and then you coming here talking smack. All right. Pastor doesn't mean punk. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand. Pastor doesn't mean punk. Okay. So my daughter had already whipped her once, and the girl went to get reinforcements. And so when I came home, my daughter saw me. So when a kid sees the father, now they get extra confidence. And so my daughter, and so I said, "Listen, go back in the house. Go back in the house. I got this." And her friends that was there, I was like, "What y'all doing here?" Because they was getting ready to create a real serious problem. I said, "You got a home? Get in it. Go home now." And so I told the girl's mother, I said, you brought your daughter back here to fight again? What kind of parenting is that? And she was like, "Oh." I said, "Listen, I'm here now. Everything is shut down. You're going to leave. You're going to take your kids and your little cousins, and you're going to step." And that's exactly the way I said it to her. Okay. I was like, you're going to step right now. And the woman got upset. She was like, "Well, so-and-so has a father too." I was like, "Yeah, where is he? Tell me where he is." Okay. I'll go and meet him. Right now, you're going to step. So I could understand where that parent was coming from, but, and the old preacher said, when you hear the word "but," there's going to be some kicking, okay? But at some particular point in time, you have to maintain control of yourself. So when the dust settled and the smoke cleared and they left, I started thinking, and I said, okay, let me be proactive, let me be preemptive, and let me get ahead of this thing. So my house literally is around the corner from the precinct, literally. I walked around the corner. I went to the desk surgeon. I said, "Officer," I said, "let me explain to you. This is what just happened at my house, and I'm trying to be a law-abiding citizen. I don't want to create a problem, yada, 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 yada." The officer looks at me. He says, "Don't worry about it, Mr. Butler. We got you. We know who you are." I was stunned. I was like, "What?" Said, "Yeah, we know who you are. You're not the problem." And then he proceeded to tell me that not only was the girl a problem, but her mother was a problem. And they had already had altercations with them. And he said to me, "Go home. We got you. We're going to take care of this." 2 days later, the girl's mother was arrested.
Wow.
So to speak to your point, Ernesto, what a lot of us tend to not understand. See, I always tell our young people, hood speak is okay, but also learn head speak. What do you mean by that, Pastor? Learn how to present and carry yourself in an intelligent and an articulate way where people have to respect you because you're not running just on emotionalism.
Right.
But you know how to be cerebral. Because see, when you know how to be cerebral and when you carry yourself a certain way, now people back up and they will respect you no matter what, and you'll get the benefit of the doubt. And that's what happened. And so, because of the way I presented myself, they was like, don't worry about it. We got it. We know who you are. And that situation was taken care of. So in that particular situation that you was talking about, Ernesto, it's unfortunate because what that parent should have done was they should have marched that child with all that stuff in their hair right to the precinct, okay, as is, and the police would have had to do something. They are obligated, okay, according to procedure and everything. Okay, you got somebody coming in here looking like this, they got to move, and that's what she should have done, and she probably could have gotten a much better, more favorable result. So I believe in corporal punishment, whipping your behind, spanking, all that kind of stuff. I believe in it. Okay. Now, as you get older, you do tend to get a little softer, with a few exceptions. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with adult children who haven't found themselves yet, okay, that's a little different. And Pastor Randy can relate to what I'm saying. Okay. But for the most part, when you get older, it's not that you get softer, you get wiser. Okay. And you learn that there's a different way. I won't necessarily say better. Okay. But there's a different way to do things. All right. However, when you're dealing with your children, even when they become adults, they always have to be reminded that there's a line that you cannot cross. I'm the parent and you're the child. Okay. I'm your father. You're my daughter. You're my son. And there's just a certain level of respect and boundaries of properly entreating authority that has to be maintained. Now, the Bible tells us to not provoke our children. So it's a two-way street. So then at the same time, you also have to recognize, especially when they get older and they become adults, because they don't want to be treated a certain way either. When they're adults, they don't want to be treated like their children. And
right.
I get that. So then at the same time, you also have to maintain a certain decorum, a certain level of discipline, a certain level of emotional intelligence. Okay. I like that word. Okay. Emotional intelligence, so that you don't cross certain lines, but at the same time, they understood that the lines are still in existence. And I'm grateful that, with my kids, I haven't. As a matter of fact, this is what my computer went off because I was one of them FaceTiming me a few minutes ago. I think she's returning my call. I'll get back to it. But I've learned with my kids, all right, that there are going to be times they're going to try me, even now, but I can deal with them differently because of the track record that was established. Yes, Pastor Patricia, that was a biggie. Y'all remember with Kirk Franklin and his son?
Absolutely. Yes.
And let me tell you something real heavy, man. And I think you guys brought this to my attention. A lot of people had a lot to say about Kirk Franklin, but they didn't know the whole story. And it was that young man's mother. When I saw the YouTube interview with her, that thing put it in a totally complete different perspective. And she had Kirk's back. She had his back. There was a history of this thing. And when you look at their circumstances, it's kind of unusual underneath their circumstances for that dynamic to exist. So when you're dealing with your children, be they age of minority or age of majority, there's a certain line that has to always be maintained. I had, and I'll finish with this. My grandfather, man, one of my uncles, was 26 years of age. Did y'all hear what I said? He was 26 years of age, and he came home. He came to the house drunk. My grandfather whipped his behind at 26 years of age. Whipped his behind. Well, guess what? He never showed up to his house drunk again. So it really does have its place. And the tragedy is when a child grows up without discipline, they become, and some people are not going to like this word, but I got to use it. they become a terror to society because they never learn how to respect authority. And we're living in that day and age now where we have too many of our young people who have no respect for authority. Now, the other side of that is, and this speaks to what Ernesto was talking about, this young man that they got. Some of them, their introduction to authority has been authority being abused. And that's why they don't have respect for it. Okay.
Right.
But at the same time, the tragedy is at some particular point in time, they have to learn how to respect authority because that's the way of the world. At one particular point in time in your life, sooner or later, you're going to come into contact with authority and you're going to have to learn your way around the dealing with it, even when it's abusive.
I have said the same thing. I said, look, I told these kids before, I says, look, you don't listen to your mama. All right. You don't listen to your dad. All right. You don't listen to the dean. Okay. But you're going to listen to school safety. If not school safety, the police. If not the police, the correction officer. And if not the correction officer, the funeral director. Either way, you're gonna submit to some authority, you know. But that young man, you know, that's my brother, love him, but you know, and I had to go to therapy for this though, but I had to kick him out the house.
Wow.
I found him a place, you know. He lived with my cousins, but I had to tell him one day that, you know, he was doing stuff that he wasn't supposed to do, and I put him on punishment, and my man got so mad he punched a hole in the wall. And this wasn't my house. We were in an apartment, a 2-family house. And I backed up, not because I was afraid of him, but I was afraid
of what you would do.
Yeah, because I knew him and I love him, but I know that he had so much anger. One time, let's just put it this way. Him and I had an argument before one of his football games. And in that game, he ended up breaking a kid's leg.
Ooh.
But it was a clean hit.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was a clean hit. But that's how much anger he had.
Right.
And I'm like, it's gotten to the point now where my wife was afraid. And I'm like, yo,
now you gotta go, bro.
Yeah, you know. And I felt guilty, man, because I felt like I failed. But you know, I mean, he turned out well. My cousins did a great job. My aunt and uncle, you know, they took him, you know, and we have a great relationship today, you know. But it gets to that. And I to this day, I'm like, look, if we had him earlier, you know, but there's a lot of stuff. You don't have enough time for his story, but it's a lot. It's a lot. But he turned out really good.
Yeah, you kind of wish that
a lot of prayer. Of
course.
On one of them people who prayed for him, you know, definitely Alan. It's one of them people who prayed for him.
Nice.
You know, he had a whole community of people praying for him.
Yeah. You know, it comes to a point where they get that you kind of like you pray that they reach a certain turning point in their life where they learn to start to grow up. You know, I mean, it happened with my son. You know, he was one that was like, he wasn't a bad kid, a bad child, but he would make mistakes to the point that he would say, you know, your God needs to let me make my own mistakes. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm just trying to direct you so you won't have to make these mistakes. You know, I mean, but you know, but he learned, and as he got older, he learned, became more responsible once he moved out on his own. My daughter Rachel, she's doing better and stuff like that. And you know, Rachel is talking to her about her finances, and she's getting on board with things. So, but like, you know, when you talk about I'm gonna use the Thurston word, corporal punishment. In the early stage, it's not forever. what you're doing is trying to establish, set some rules, some boundaries, that this is what it is. It's to put the fear. Now, some people, like I said, you can look at them and they'll straighten up. Some people, you can talk stern to them and they'll straighten up. Some people, you might have to tap in order for them to get the message. And it's the truth. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's really just to help guide them to what you're trying to do, because they have this will and they want to impose your will. And so now what you have to do is break that will. You're not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to allow you to do this. You're not going out at 8, hanging out and all this kind. You're only 12 years old. That ain't happening. Right. So you have to kind of break the will. Now, you said you don't believe in it. What if one of your girls raise up at Erica? Swing, what would you do?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't have to do anything because Erica. I would not have to do anything at all. I would probably have to pull Erica off of them.
All right, you have girls. What if God had blessed you with a boy? And boys, get up.
Listen,
I'm telling you.
Listen, I understand.
You ain't talking, brother.
I understand exactly what you're saying, bro. But I'm telling you right now, because of my understanding now and because of my experience growing up, I know what affected me, right? I know, again, I told you I was spoiled. I didn't get in a lot of trouble, whatever. And I'm very intentional about my interaction. I've been very intentional about my interaction, especially with the two youngest, the twins. And I think it would be the same with the boy if he was born around the same age. Like you said, the older we get, the smarter we get, we learn things. But I've never been a proponent of corporal punishment. I didn't think it was necessary. And I was blessed with children where I wasn't forced to. Now, let me tell you this. I've actually jumped on a couple of my nephews before because of getting out of pocket, right? But those were sort of isolated incidents. They were of a certain age and size where I had to put my hands on them to really get my point across. Not like beating somebody in the street, you know what I mean? But I had to put my hands on them to let them know, all right, this is what it is. You're out of pocket right now. And so someone was getting out of pocket in the church when my mom was a pastor in Amityville, talking crazy. And I had to put my hands on them, drag them out of the church and really let them know this is what it is. And this is not happening here. Right. But so corporal punishment has never been my immediate go-to. Right. It's always been about talking, interaction, learning. And like I said, with my relationship with my children, I think the possibility of disappointing me or me being disappointed has really right, exactly. Come let us reason together outside of this building real quick, bro. You're gonna watch your mouth. But it's never been my go-to. It's never been my go-to. And again, I know that I was blessed with really incredible children, right? It's been a blessing. But when I go to what I've been trained in, marriage and family therapy, and even child psychology, and understanding the interactions and the understanding of how a primary caregiver should interact with their children from the very beginning, and creating that safe space and also giving them the room to grow. And so there's a lot that goes into it. So it's not just about not whooping kids. It's not just that. I just feel like there's a way, a really positive and impactful way to really get the same things across without corporal punishment. But I understand
you're not in the minority.
Say again?
You're not in the minority. I don't
Okay.
think you're in the minority. I think you're absolutely right. I'm kind of like in the middle because I think that depending on the child, I think both, work. I think that I think you should lean on, but Thurston, you have a lot of you have a skill set.
Right. Yes.
You have a skill set. And I had to use a lot of the skills that I learned in working in social agencies, like yours, and I
Right.
had to use with my brother.
Right.
But
Right.
had it not been for them skill sets, I think I think I would have jacked them up quite a few times.
And this is the thing. This is the thing, guys. Because even as I talk to you guys, I want everyone that's
Probably would have
listening.
swung back.
Everyone that's listening should understand this. So I know that my mindset is sort of has developed because of a lot of the things that I've seen. Things I've seen in other people's homes, things I've seen in other people's relationships with their parents. So, and understanding this, because I choose very carefully who I interact with, who I allow in my space. So, of course, the brothers on this call, I know that you're thoughtful, loving parents, and it's not to say that if you don't believe like I believe that you're wrong. Absolutely not, because I know that. So my mindset was shaped by seeing people go overboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing people, they would send for a switch or a belt or an extension cord for the simplest, littlest things. And even as a young person, understanding that you're really dragging this right now, dude. Like, I've seen parents, a child would do one thing, not even a bad thing, but something that was sort of not what the parents wanted. And the parent would go on and on, not even physically beating, but talking negatively and just like cursing them out for days on end. I've seen this happen. So I know it's shaped how I interact with my children and even interact with young people that are not my children.
But you also see the same thing and this is why I say what I say. Because when I look at how things are today, and I look at some of these young people today and the way they interact with adults, parents, other adults, the way they speak to them, they curse them out. You see it. I'm like, there's no talking, Thurston.
But this is my thing, Randy. That doesn't just happen. It comes from somewhere.
But that's what I'm talking about. It started because they didn't do what they're supposed to do.
No.
Listen.
Yes.
When I see an 8-year-old tell his mother to bite me,
dude, that 8-year-old did not wake up in the morning and just all of a sudden this pop in his head.
Listen, I understand that.
Somewhere.
What I'm saying is that because they've been giving him all this room since a baby. Right. Yes. But since a baby, if they would have tapped that tail,
no.
I guaranteed
from a
he
baby,
would not be telling his mother.
If from a baby, if they interacted with him the proper way,
listen, that's like you telling. That's like This is what I'm saying. You got we got this thing that they call on Watitis. And all this timeout bull. Like I told you, my mother didn't believe in no timeout. She believed in knocking you out. That's what she believed in. Go timeout until go, and then you go stand in the corner. It's like, come on, what kind of foolishness is that? You done destroyed the whole entire house, and now I'm gonna give you a timeout for 5 minutes. You gonna sit in the corner. That's not us.
You said time's up.
That's not us. We knocking you out. That's the bottom line. We're going to give you something to think about. Yeah, you're going to go to the corner, but you're going to have something to think about.
I got it, bro.
I'm not talking to you. You know what? I done passed the talking. I done told you to stop. I done told you to don't do that. I done told you not to touch it. I done told you. Now I'm going to tap that tail. Pop.
How did you tell them?
And that's starting from a baby.
How did you tell them? How did you interact with them? How, before they're able to get up and walk over to the stove to touch it, before they're able to speak and be disrespectful, how did you interact with the child? I put a lot of this on parents, man.
So Thurston, you know, this conversation is like so interesting because it's one of those things where there's really not a cookie cutter approach, as it were.
There's not, absolutely not. Okay? No.
And so, you know, I'm thinking about myself. My mother would tell you she has 8 children, okay? Mm-hmm. And she would tell you that I'm the most disciplined one that she has. Well, why? It's because she put the fear of God in me literally from day one. I remember I was like about 15 or 16, and one of the church mothers came up to me one day. She said, I know you a good child. And I looked at her, I said, what do you mean? She said, when your mother came to church from maternity leave the first time at 3 months old, okay? She said, you got ready to scream and cry. And she said, and your mother said, you're not going to do it. She said, you shut right up. And she said, I was shocked because I had never seen anything like it in my life at 3 months old. Now, here's the point. My mother wasn't necessarily spanking me at 3 months of age, but there was a level of interaction where she was introducing me to boundaries in such a way that I had to embrace it. And to this day, she will tell you, I'm the most out of those 8 kids, I'm the most disciplined one that she had. Now, sometimes my wife teases me and says, no, my wife says, no, you know, she mishandled you. And then my wife will tease me and mess with me or whatever. Okay. But you know, there's a way my wife puts it. She said, she'll, in so many words, she was like, your mother did a number on you. Okay. But the reality is, she was able to get her point across and accomplish some things, okay, without crossing the line of abuse. And I think what happens in this particular situation is everybody has a different way of defining what they would consider to be abusive.
Right.
I think that's part of the problem, okay? And so for someone like yourself, and I won't even say like you, I mean, there's individuals who have the philosophy that you do, who will take that philosophy to an extreme, and even a stern word they would consider abuse. Well, that's insanity, okay?
Right.
So I think what needs to happen is, and I think Randy said it, or Ernesto said it, or maybe you said it, you know, you have to understand the mechanics of the situation that you're in. Now, here's the thing. I wasn't so quick to apply corporal punishment or whipping, only because there were some things I felt like my mother was a little excessive with. And your experiences and your background will shape the way you approach things.
No doubt about it.
So then I decided, okay, there's a certain point I'm not going to go beyond because I don't like what was done to me. Okay. Now, be that as it may, I also understood that there would be times, just being an adult with wisdom and just being a trained parent, I understood there would be times when my children would probably push me to a certain point and I would have to push back. Okay.
Yep.
But God helped me to push back and not push them to a point where I pushed them over a cliff. See, there's a reason why the Bible tells us what it tells us: don't provoke your children, because as a parent, at the end of the day, you do have the upper hand and you could misuse that. Okay. Now, when you said you've seen people just go to this point of excess, and you know what I've learned? And I'm even more convinced in it now, being at the stage that I'm at and looking back over life. when you see parents like that, it's misplaced aggression. They are taking something out on the child that they are too cowardly to deal with in themselves. See,
Yep.
that's what that's all about. All right.
Yep.
And instead of them getting someplace, and then okay, for instance, I remember one time I made a gesture, and my mother said, "Oh, you're just like your father," and she used to always say it until one day at age 16, she said it, and something rose up in me. I said, okay, that's the end of it. I've had enough. And when she did it, I looked at her and said, well, who else am I supposed to look like? I said, because if I look like somebody else, we got a problem because somebody's been lying. And it just came out. And my mother was stunned, but I had enough. I had enough. And so she looked, and I said, you know, what's up? And so you know what? She never did it again, because there were some things that she hadn't reconciled in her emotions in terms of what went bad between her and her father. And it was misplaced aggression to me. That wasn't my fault that I looked like him. Okay. You did that. I didn't do that. Okay.
Right.
That was you and him. Okay.
But Pastor, I think that those misplaced aggressions are the vehicle for generational curses.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. At some particular point, but you know what happens? See, that child becomes subjected to that so much that they now turn around and they recapitulate that same thing. And it's a cycle. And it's a cycle that is not broken. And that's why I said to myself, okay, I remember what my mother did. Okay. And I said, there's a certain point I'm not going to go beyond, because my children have nothing to do with that. Now, thank God that I was never in a dysfunctional marriage. My wife and I, my wife is my best friend. You guys know, so we love each other and all that kind of stuff. But still, there's still some things we gotta reconcile and reckon with in terms of your background and your experience. And you got to decide, okay, well, nah, that's not going to be on my watch. No, that's not going down that way.
I have to say that my grandmother was incredibly abusive to my mother. And at one point, my mother told me, because my mother stopped hitting me, I think, the age of 12, 13. Stop. But before that, she said that she really became more intentional and strategic in how she would discipline me. Because one day, I think she threw one of my toys at me. And she was like, she just had a thought like, oh no, I'm not. I think at that moment she saw her mom.
Yep.
And then she just decided to
that's not gonna be me. That's not gonna be
me.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Could have fooled me as a kid. Looking back, I see it now, but
right.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry.
But at one point, my mom could just look at me. But here's the thing, though. At the same time, my mom could just go out and just look at me, just give me a look, and I'm straight.
Right.
So, but I just wanted to address something that Pastor Patricia said about kids, about respect, and I think she's absolutely right. What did she say? It was kids see respect. What was it?
Young people know respect. They choose when they will respect. They respect their crew.
100%. 100%. Because they would respect their crew. You would see some of the most disrespectful kids. But when they get around other kids, and they're always checking your temperature. Let me tell you, because you get tested in the school. You get tested, and Thurston, because you work with teens. You know they test you, and
absolutely,
the first thing you got to do is like, yo, bro, I ain't afraid of you.
Right.
Because the minute they sense that fear,
and they will jump on it, bro.
They jump on it. But I would say this though. That's right. You got to let them know you're not the one. I literally told that to a disturbed kid.
Wow.
Because he tried to I'm not the tallest brother in the room, and he, he's one of them kids, and we got a lot of teachers, it's not in our culture, you know. And when these boys act up, they get really intimidated.
Yes.
So this kid goes and he walks. I'm opening the door for him in the cafeteria. He's like, rah, 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 like he usually do. And he, instead of going around me, now mind you, I'm trying to open the door for him. He tries to go through my arm. And he saw that he couldn't get through. So I'm like, what you doing? And then he had the nerve to say, yo, this Nick over here trying to yada. Yo,
wow.
What?
See, that's when you gotta go Randy on him. See, that's where Randy. That's when you gotta go Randy on him.
No. I gotta eat. I gotta keep my job.
Right.
I'm going to eat and keep my job in Jesus' name, but I'm going Randy on you.
I had to. But you know what he did? You know what he did? And this is when you know there are kids that play Hollywood and kids that are real.
Right.
And I knew that he was Hollywood. We have kids in our school that's not, they're real. And that's because something really is wrong.
Uh-huh.
And when you see something wrong, a hit ain't gonna work with them kids because they something wrong. And I had to, but he barked, he said what he had to say, and he kept on walking. See, if he was real, he would have stood right there and see what I was.
Right.
You know what your boy did, right? He followed him.
Amen.
Wow.
I followed him. Of course I followed him. Because he had to understand, you know, and I'm walking next to him and I'm like, yo, bro, no. You don't talk to me that way. That's how I'm talking to him. And he's like, oh, no. So now he's kind of scared. So now he looks at his boys, right? And his boys, so he goes, yo, check out this dude, right? So now I'm standing closer to him, right? His boys, who look like trees, you know what happened?
They
backed off. They backed up. Now he was uncomfortable.
Because he alone
now. All I did was just finish my sentence. Don't you ever talk to me like that again, because I did not talk to you that way. Man to man, this is how men talk. That was it. We never had a problem again. But this is what I know about our young boys. They are quicker to receive authority from a woman than another man.
That's what they're used to, bro.
Because that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
Male authority comes across as police, as punishment, but they're not used to it. I've seen female colleagues tell some kids some things that if I told them, it would have been a problem.
Right.
But like it took longer. Like I could do it now, but it took longer. You know, and that's a whole other dynamic. The kids today have this thing called social media, and I kid you not, it changes the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Even the way how you raise kids, what they're exposed to. I remember when I saw In Vogue, Hold On to Your Love video. That was risque to me. I was like, whoa. I look at it now.
Oh, forget it.
It's absolutely nothing. It tells you to the degree of what these kids are exposed to. Now they're coming up with stuff about, how social media and hours of looking at social media affects their cognitive abilities and their mental health.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you, these kids are coming out different. They're different. And now that they had they didn't have school and they were watching social media for hours and hours and hours. These kids came back different. And let me tell you, I've told you my story at my school. I bet you that there are other educators out there who are going through the same thing in their schools. It's not being reported, though. It's not being reported in the media yet. But I'm telling you, New York City public school, these kids are bugging out.
Mm. It's a lot to deal with, man. It's a lot. Y'all know we've been on here for over 3 hours today, right? It is.
No,
after
you and Landy
7
was.
o'clock,
Me
bro.
and Pastor Darren just got on.
Right.
But-
Y'all the one that's taking us over. Go ahead,
What?
Pastor. You about to say something.
I'm
Yeah,
done
I'm
though.
done.
I'm finished.
I'm getting ready to jump off. I just came to get just a little diversion from study, but I got 2 finals and that's it. It's over. It's done.
Yes. I love it. We're
came,
proud of you, man. Can't wait for the day. Let us know exactly when it is so we could shout you out, man. Hold on. I'm looking for something here before we go. Where's this? What am I looking for here? I'm looking for the comment of the day. I started earlier because this one had me cracking up, and I don't know if we addressed it. So as we were talking about kids in the schools, and of course, it's your beautiful dove. Hence,
That's her.
where is your restroom? Me and my child need to stop in there for a quick minute. Trust, we coming out straight. That's hilarious to me, bro.
But listen,
that's hilarious.
She means every drop of it. Every drop. She means every drop of it. Okay.
I love
it.
I love it.
I promise you. And you know, one thing I've learned about people in authority, educators, police officers, etc. You know, they know when somebody's off over the top, and they know when, okay, you got somebody who's genuinely sincerely concerned here, and we need to throw our weight behind them. They know it. They really do. They can sense it. I had a situation where
I'm seeing more of those kids, Pastor Randy.
Would you say?
I'm seeing more of those kids like that are off.
You're seeing more of those kids, yeah.
Yeah. You know, we've been in situations where, you know, once, and Ernesto, you could probably attest to this. Once you know what a parent is about, you line up with that parent.
Yep.
Yeah.
You line up with that parent. And, you know, one of the things that breaks my heart with our people is the absence is the absence of fatherhood. It's a pandemic in and of itself. That's why we have the dysfunction that exists amongst our young men in terms of them handling male authority, because the main way they're supposed to be introduced to male authority is through their fathers, and there's just too many of us. There's too many of us missing. There's too many, and I firmly believe that my kids are in the position that they're in because my kids had a unique situation. My kids, I was the last person they saw when they left, and I was the first person they saw when they came home. That was unusual.
Mm-hmm.
That was unusual. And so they had their father. And when they got when my second daughter got to be a junior in high school, she came home one day so upset. She said, "Daddy, you won't believe what happened." I said, "What happened?" She says, 70% of my classmates are living in homes. Their parents are not together. They don't have time with their father. And the man that's in the house with them has no connection to them whatsoever. And here they're thinking, well, everybody's reality is like ours.
Right.
You know, our father sends us off to school, and we come home and our father's there because God had arranged it. I had started pastoring, and He has set me up economically where I could work from home. And so Pastor Pat and I made some adjustments. We didn't. Why have childcare? I'm there, okay.
Right.
And so, you know, and that particular daughter is 30 years of age now. So that was 12 years ago. Okay, this thing is a problem, and that's why our brothers, man. Our brothers, we really need to get it together, man, and we really got to get back involved with our kids. And I understand sometimes there's issues between you and the mother. I get that. I understand that. But there's got to be a level of maturity that we grow to understand that has nothing to do with our kids. It has nothing to do with our kids. You know, we've got to be there, especially for our sons, man, especially for our sons. So, but I'm going to jump on and get back to some studying, man. Love you guys. All right,
listen, we all getting out of here. Randy, you got some final words for us today, man?
Yeah, real quick, man. You know, the thing that, you know, I hear a lot of the stories that my wife tells me when she come home from school. And, you know, it's one thing about us as African Americans and Black and brown people, how we deal with our kids. But then when you have the whites that's come out to the schools and they teaching the way they see our kids, and they look at our kids and they don't understand the story, so they judge them because of the way they see things. So my wife had an issue one time because she's like dealing with elementary, so she had a where one of her students had a hard time seeing the board. So this lady teacher, white lady, was going to call, what is the ACS?
Mm-hmm.
She was going to call because she felt the kid was being neglected.
Wow.
So my wife says, look, don't call. She let me talk to her. She said, because you don't understand what happened when you call them. They come in and they destroy a home.
Right.
You know, it's not like you don't know the story if she was being neglected or not. So my wife spoke to the mother, found out that the girl glasses broke, and the mother didn't have the money to buy her glasses.
My God.
Wow.
My God.
But she's ready to call ACS.
Yes.
So my wife says, give me the glasses. And so she said, but don't tell nobody I'm doing this because I'm not supposed to do it. But my wife bought the girl 2 pair of glasses.
Wow.
And, you know, so she thanked her, you know, but she didn't want nobody to know. But she was just trying to tell these, because how they look at the kids.
Yeah, man.
Just recently, you know, it's Christmas time, you know, everybody's celebrating. So my wife was like, look, call the staff together because they want to get a Santa Claus. And she said, well, can we get like we have 72% black, like 30% Latin.
Mm-hmm.
And we get some culturally biased, you know.
Right.
So they found the black man and he agreed to be the Santa Claus. Because you in the dominantly black school, so why are you gonna bring this white guy up in here?
Right.
So this is the thing that how they look at, you know, us. So that's one of the things that, you know, kind of like bother me. A lot of stuff when I hear these stories because the way they judge, the way they look, but then I look at how they kids are and they cursing them out.
Yep.
And they calling them out their name. They basically running the household, but then you want to talk about our kids.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying about the difference as far as the training. Now, I'm not saying, you know, be the kid as soon as he comes out the womb and all that kind of stuff. No, you know, you teach him.
Right.
But I think that there's got to be to a point where if little Johnny is on the floor screaming and kicking, and I telling you, okay, Johnny, get up now, get up. And you don't do that, Johnny. Nah. Listen, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize to me, man. Don't apologize to me.
You know, I play percussion. I believe in skin on skin.
You stupid, man. You crazy.
And trust me, if I tell little Johnny 2 times to get up and he don't get up, this is going to get him up.
I hear you, man. I hear you, bro.
And I'm going to be just like Pastor Patricia because I had to do it with my daughter. Where's the bathroom?
Uh-huh.
I had to do it.
And you come out straight.
But let me tell you something. It gets to a point sometimes where even beating or whipping or corporal punishment doesn't matter to the kids.
Right.
It's like they get used to it. Like it's like they become numb.
Exactly.
So now you have to start thinking of other ways that you can kind of help direct this kid.
And that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying start thinking of other ways earlier.
Well, you do that. I'm not saying coming out doing it like I said.
Okay.
But it comes to a point that I have noticed that it didn't matter. Because I could do this and then tomorrow come back and do the same thing again. And then now you getting tired. Like you getting like, I'm tired of wearing this cheek out because they getting like numb to it. It's like nothing happening.
Right. No,
You know,
it's
so
listen. This has been such a great discussion, guys. I really do mean it. This has been wonderful. And
Wait, one more
go
thing.
ahead, Pastor. Go ahead, Pastor.
I told Reggie he's got to get 2 extra holes on that shirt. Ho, ho, ho. And then they can stand for the Trinity.
He can't even do that, bro. He can't even do it. Don't encourage him. Don't get him in trouble, man. Don't get him in trouble. Don't get him in trouble, bro. No, don't do it. That's an inside joke, y'all. That's an inside joke y'all don't know about. But
that's a crazy story.
listen, ladies, everybody that's watching, everybody that comment, we appreciate you guys, man. We really do appreciate your input. For hanging out with us for over 3 hours today. Let me get off of this daggone. He's doing well. He's doing well, Louisa. Let me get off of this platform and go and get something to eat and hang with the family. I love you guys, man.
Love you, brothers.
Yes, everybody that's watching. Pastor,
Hey, pray for the school, man.
Graduating soon, man. Congratulations, bro. We love you, man.
Thank you.
We
Thank
really
you.
do.
I'm going to send you guys the link to the live. I think
Yes.
they're limiting attendance.
Okay, make sure you send it to us so we can check it out, man. All right.
When is it?
Say it again.
When is it?
A week from today. Actually, this time next week it'll be over. It's
awesome.
Next Sunday at 11:30.
Nice.
I'll be skipping across the stage. Randy, I'm going to raise a hallelujah on him.
All right, you better.
All right, gentlemen, y'all have a good one. Everybody that's watching, thank you guys for watching. And y'all stop beating those kids, man. Stop beating those kids. All right, y'all talk to them kids, man. All right, love you guys. Have a good one.
I got your back, bro. I got your back.
They're gonna turn out spoiled like Thurston.
That's right. That's right. They're gonna turn out just like me. Wonderful. Everybody that's watching, until next time, don't just enjoy life. Don't just endure life, but embrace it and live it out loud. We love you guys. Have a good one.
All right, God bless.